Good evening and welcome to our debate, the one we've been waiting for quite a while. It's a debate between our Catz and King Nico. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to you, Catz, to start things off. You're muted, mate.
But what a great start. I mute myself already. I put myself on mute to be nice before, and I left it on mute. Mute, not even on mute. Can we start this again, for God's sake? It's all gone tits up already. Right. Hello, everybody. Tonight, we're going to have a debate with Nico. As usual, the head honcho, the boss man, the main moderator, Doom, will be keeping things nice and civil. Me and Nico and Doom, we've been having a chat behind the scenes and getting on like a house on fire. It's all going to be great. Before we start, though, I want to throw this little bit of information out there. Before we talk about the debate, I was getting loads of comments saying you want to pull Nico up on why he stole Eric Dubé's video. For those who don't know the background, Eric Dubé made a video, and then Nico took that video and word for word replaced it. And I've been getting a lot of comments saying you've got to pick Nico up on that. You've got to pick Nico up on that. This is probably the one time all night I'm going to defend Nico's point of view. I started watching Nico a while ago to try and get an idea of what he was about. And I saw him make these arguments about the final experiment. And when Eric Dubé made his video, he took every argument that Nico had constructed, including like the freeze frame screenshots. Basically, he raided Nico's live streams and then put the video together from that and didn't credit Nico at all. So if you're one of the people who's commented saying, asking why he's ripped off Eric Dubé, I actually think it was quite a funny bit of trolling, a bit of parody of Eric Dubé's own video pillaging. And not that I agree with any of the content that was on the video, and I'm sure we'll get to that in the debate. But I did promise Nico I'd say that because I found it hilarious. But we will introduce you in a second, Nico. I can't see any of the chat just yet, so I'm not going to go to the chat. But I'm going
to say we have had a gifted from someone, but it's not come up on my screen yet. I've just saw it in the corner of my eye. I don't know who it is. Hang on.
I will.
It's can't read and it's truncated. I can't read the rest of his name.
Can't read the other day in a normal voice anymore. He was on the pre-show earlier on. And he's gifted 20 memberships. So thank you so much, sir, for that. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. That's it. What I'm going to do now, I will shut up. We'll do a super chat recall at the end of every sort of phase, so we're not constantly breaking. That's okay.
Yeah. I've just realised I couldn't see any comments or anything because I was in the after show studio room, not the debate show studio room. So the debate is going to be as normal. Doom will break down the time limits and stuff when I pass to him. And I'm sure we'll give Nico a chance to introduce himself, etc. before we start. So that's what I'll do. I'll go over to Doom and he can decide whether he's going to let Nico introduce himself or whether he's going to break the debate down. Whatever you want, mate. It's over to you, boss.
Just very quickly, it's same as last week. Everybody gets 2 rounds of 10 minutes, opening statements and rebuttals. Third stage is a back and forth where the mics are opened up. And that's as simple as it is. And hopefully at the end of it, we'll have had a really good discussion, debate, and everybody will have enjoyed it. Like I said, I've spoken to both Catz and Nico beforehand. They both agreed to be civil, and I trust them to do that. They're both really good chaps. So what I'm going to ask you to do first is, do you want to go first, Nico, with your opening statement, or Catz, do you want to go first?
I will let Nico decide because I did call him out. So, Nico, you can decide who wants to go first. But also introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, I don't mind going first. And so thank you for everything, for having me on the show and to get the chance to give my side of the belief system that's pretty much growing and spreading, which is the flat earth or biblical earth. And thanks again for bringing up the whole beef or spat between me and Eric Dubé. You actually was spot on with everything, how it's transpired, how he pretty much ripped off everything, even the screenshots and video clips. So I was like, whoa, this guy's not, I'm not going to come into this flat earth movement and let any of these top dogs, so be it. Eric Dubay, Mark Sargent, David Wise try and think that they can one over on me and take and not give credit. So that's the main reason why I took the video back that he posted, took the transcript, put my AI voice over it and just posted it and be like, yeah, I can do it too. So that was pretty much it. It's not something I usually do, but it's just for the whole spat purposes, right?
Okay. Are you ready for your opening statement?
Yeah, I don't mind going first.
Okay. You can see the clock on the screen. You're watching the page, yeah?
No, I don't have the clock. I just have our videos on the screen there.
Okay. I'll jump in and tell you when there's 1 minute to go, and then if you can try and wind up your phase, then. So, right. Okay. I'll count you in if you're ready.
All right, got it.
Okay. So that's 3, 2, 1, and you can go.
All right, so hello everyone. So today I am here to present arguments from the flat earth perspective. So focusing on observable science and questioning assumptions about the globe model. So let's explore the evidence together. So we got observation versus theory, where the flat earth model relies on direct observable phenomena rather than theoretical calculations. We got no observable curvature, even at high altitudes, such as from airplanes or weather balloons. The horizon appears flat and at high eye level, not curved. We got the flight paths. Airline flight paths often make more sense on a flat earth map. Not that there's a perfect flat earth map that proves a flat earth model, because everyone says that they've debunked the AE map. But again, we'll get into that and why that is somewhat manipulated to be wrong on purpose. We got the lack of detectable spin. If Earth was spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, we should feel the motion or see its effects on flight trajectories. The moon and the sun, they appear to be the same size in the sky, which aligns with a flat earth model and biblical cosmology. Observations of sunlight forming local hotspots on clouds further suggest the sun is small and close, not 93 million miles away. The vanishing points and perspective, objects disappearing over the horizon, can be explained by perspective and the limits of human vision, not Earth's curvature. We have NASA and the space programs. There are inconsistencies in NASA imagery. For example, identical cloud patterns appear in different Earth images, suggesting they are composites rather than actual photographs. We have scientific experiments. Certain historical experiments support a flat Earth model. The Michelson-Morley experiment failed to detect Earth's motion through space, and the Sagnat experiment demonstrated that light behaves differently depending on its direction, suggesting a stationary Earth. We can bring up the gas containment. Gas needs containment. Let's start with a fundamental principle of physics. Gas requires containment. In a pressurized system, gas expands until it is restricted by a barrier. So other failed experiments, such as Airy's failure, Michelson-Morley, Bedford level experiment. I wanted to, where is it? So the 24-hour sun, last but not least, right? So we just had the FTE, the TFE experiment. So the 24-hour sun in Antarctica is often cited as proof of the globe Earth model. However, there are several problems with this claim, starting with the evidence itself. So manipulated evidence. Most of the evidence presented for the 24-hour sun consists of time-lapse videos. Time-lapse footage can easily be manipulated. There's restricted access. Antarctica is one of the most restricted areas on Earth due to the Antarctic Treaty. Inconsistent observations. So there's travelers to Antarctica often report long daylight hours, but not a continuous 24-hour sun. The atmospheric refraction, right? So more science to back up science that backs up the science that was created. So an alternative explanation for the extended daylight in Antarctica is atmospheric refraction. So this phenomenon, well documented in science, causes light to bend as it passes through the atmosphere, creating the illusion of prolonged daylight, right? So science. Basically, science in its purest form is a process of discovering and understanding the natural world through observation, experimentation, and evidence. However, like any human endeavor, it is influenced by various factors, including funding, politics, and societal values. So who controls the science? Scientists and researchers. At the core, scientists, researchers, and academics are the ones who carry out experiments, develop the theories, and advance knowledge in their fields. They follow established methods and protocols to ensure their findings are reliable. We got the institutions and universities, academic institutions and research organizations often fund, so more money again funded and support scientific research. The government and funding agencies, government bodies like the National Institutes of Health, the National Science Foundation, and others provide significant funding for scientific research. And we've got private sectors and corporations, companies, especially in industries like pharmaceuticals, energy, and technology, often fund scientific research that aligns with their business interests. So science is very biased. Just follow the money, and that's how you get your answer to the science. So I'd like to pretty much end off with that. I think I covered a lot in that opening statement, and yeah, we can take it from there.
Okay. One thing I will ask before I unmute Catz. One thing I should have asked you before we started, so this is on me. Are you wanting to present anything on screen?
Not necessarily. I'm pretty sure that whatever I could present, Catz would pretty much have it in his rebuttal anyway. So I still have my arguments here to all broken down. So
okay, I just thought I'd give you the choice because we could set it up while Catz was speaking if you wanted to. If you want to do it any time during the debate, it probably took me about a minute to set it up.
cool.
Okay, thank you, Nico. Right, Catz, I'll just reset your time.
Can I share my screen?
You can, just let me reset your time first. I'm not an octopus. Wished I was. Okay, just reset that. You want to share your screen, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
See, you should have set this up as well. You see, you should know better than this. This one's on you.
I've just seen a comment that caught my eye, made me giggle, but I'll mention it later. Sorry. Yeah. So have we started?
No, not yet.
Okay. I'm going to do a dance while we're no, let's have a.
You're on.
Oh, I'm on. This is my time. My time's up. Gone.
No. Do you want me to start it?
You can start it.
Okay.
So normally when I do a debate, and it's been a long time. All right, I came out of retirement last week. It's been a while, but when I cast my mind back and remember, I would try and use a lot of evidence and throw a lot of evidence. I'm going to take a different tact tonight, and that's because Nico is a different kind of opponent. Nico does not make a secret of the fact he's a biblical flat earther. A lot of the time, I will debate flat earthers, or in the past, who really were biblical flat earthers, but they would pretend they weren't. They felt somehow that cheapened the argument, and they would pretend they understood the science, and obviously they'd misrepresent it. But Nico is, and if I'm misrepresenting you, hold my hand up, but you're a loud and proud biblical flat earther. That's the message you want getting out. You believe that the Bible says the earth is flat. Now, what I want to do is get to the bottom of the type of flat earther Nico is. And I'm just going to run you through this very high-tech PowerPoint that I've put together. Very high-tech. You can tell I used to be a teacher. So for me, I literally have one stance when it comes to biblical flat earth. And that is that if the Bible is correct, right? If it's correct, then the scientific evidence will disagree. The Bible, I believe, according to biblical flat earthers, wouldn't say something if it wasn't correct. So therefore, you should be able to have a flat earth debate and present flat earth arguments using the science and leaving the Bible out completely, because the science will agree with the Bible. And obviously, if you're going to try and convince an entire world where we're living in a scientific and technological age, we're not really living in the age of religion anymore. We're living in more of a technological age. If you want to convince them that the world is flat, then you're going to have to use science, and you're not going to use biblical scripture, which hundreds of years ago, or even a couple of hundred years ago, maybe would have been enough. So I believe that we can categorize biblical flat earthers, and we can say that some of the biblical flat earthers will say, no, the science does not agree with the Bible at all. So in other words, they are saying the Bible is true, but I accept that all the scientific observations, all the scientific measurements say that the earth is a globe. All right. But I believe in the Bible that it's flat, and somehow through some kind of biblical powers, or however you put it, the earth is flat, but science says otherwise. Okay. And for that, I just have to put my hand up and say, okay, if Nico was to come on stream and say that tonight and say, you know what, actually the science does agree that the earth is a globe, but the science isn't as great as, the God that I believe in. And the earth is still flat. He's just made the science look like that. Fair enough. You can't, where can you go with that other than just to say, well, best of luck, with your beliefs, etc. But then there's the other type of biblical flat earther who will say, oh, no. The Bible does agree with science. And everybody out there who believes that the earth is a globe is just not understanding the science correctly. And if, as a biblical flat earther, you're going to take that stance, you have to show that you've got an understanding of what that science is. And you have to be able to articulate and explain how the observations and measurements we make are predicted and are evidence for a flat earth. And if those explanations tend to evolve around, well, it's not really important, or I don't really know, then it does kind of question, this whole kind of stance. And I've never spoken to Nico before tonight. I honestly don't know which of these camps he falls in. I guess we're going to find out as the debate goes on. Does he believe the science actually agrees with the Bible, and can he back that up? Now, I'm going to present some things because I know there's a rebuttal coming, and I'd like to give Nico the chance to rebut some facts. So I'll just throw some oldies but goodies in there. With the flat earth, how can the flat earth, for example, explain circumpolar stars and star trails, especially when we have them acting in opposite directions in the northern and southern hemisphere? How is that actually possible? And rather than perhaps just saying, well, if you stand on the other side of something, it looks like it's going in the opposite direction, can that really be fleshed out and explained? And I'll give Nico plenty of time to explain exactly how that's possible. I won't jump in and interrupt him. I'll give him all the time he needs to explain these things. Mr. Sensible's Mage 2, one of our own in the community, spent a great deal of money, and I know a lot of you helped fund it, to send a weather balloon, a high altitude weather balloon up there with a non-fisheye, a fisheye lens camera, and obviously a non-fisheye lens camera to show the difference. And he went to great pains to hang these straight pieces of string to show that there was no distortion on the lens that could be blamed when we saw the curvature of the earth, which is blatant curvature here. This was seen, and it's seen many, many, many times by people launching up a weather balloon. But he did it with these pieces of string, so you could actually see that the lens wasn't responsible for this curvature. So how are images like this compatible with a flat earth, if the flat earth, exists? How actually is it compatible that we can film? And I've got Ranty's video. I don't know if Ranty's in the chat because I can't see the chat at the minute while I'm doing this. He certainly came in the chat I saw before. This is a video Ranty took a while ago before he left the flat earth, and he filmed a boat going over the horizon, start to finish, and it just totally disappeared. Couldn't be zoomed back. It just went. So again, how is that actually possible without simply saying the word perspective? You know, it's just perspective. You know, if I can get a detailed explanation of that, then I might start to believe that actually, yes, you know, there is an understanding of the science. And if not, is it just a case of there's a very strong biblical belief and a lack of scientific understanding? In which case, that's fine. You know, everybody, you know, it's all right for me as a science teacher to sit here and say he doesn't remember this from school, he doesn't remember that. It's not about trying to poke holes in what Nico knows. I'm just trying, and I said this to him off camera, I'm trying to understand why he says what he says. That's where I'm coming from. When we look at observations, again, like this, real world observations, clouds having the shadow on them from mountains below, meaning the light source is below the surface of the mountain. How can that possibly be explained on a flat Earth? What could possibly the explanation for that be? Or is it a case of just saying optical phenomena, which would be a bit of a cop-out? Real world measurable effects, like the Opvos effect. This is one of Wolfie's experiments, and Critical Think did something very similar in the TFA experiment, where we actually can predict the changes in mass, changes in weight, observed weight of an object if we're moving east as opposed to west. And that can be replicated. We can do that. Obviously, you know, there's lots of other things as well, which I showed this on the debate last week. Aaron last week couldn't really give me any explanation for any of the things I've got here. I'm not going to read them out all again. I'm sure we'll touch on it in the debate. But I don't want to take too much time. I'm sure my time's coming to an end anyway, other than just to say, you know, this, for me, I'm not going to convince Nico the Earth isn't flat. I'm not going to do that. He's not going to walk away and go, oh, Catz said this and now I'm not a flat earther. That's not going to happen. But what I'm hoping will happen is that by the end of it, I truly understand why he believes what he believes. And we've shone some light on whether that is down to just purely biblical belief or whether he does have a grasp on the science and there is a scientific element to it as well. That's all I'm here for, really, to find out. So I'll stop sharing now.
Okay. Right. Okay. So that's your time done. I'm going to switch over to Nico in a second. All right, Nico, are you ready to go?
Yeah, pretty much. Again, it's the same stuff being used to be passed off as evidence that can easily be rebutted. So you can see a curve from high altitudes, like from an airplane. No one can. So the curve that some claim to see is due to the perspective and the limits of the human eye. So at high altitudes, the window glass can distort the view and the effect of curvature. So it's often due to the lens curvature in the camera or optical distortions. So in reality, observations from airplanes have shown that the horizon remains flat and rises to eye level, which is consistent with a flat Earth model. Also, the star trails, I have them right here. So the projections of, this is what the science is saying that is going on. So the appearance of star trails, it's influenced by the Earth's rotation and the viewer's location on the planet. So while the star trails themselves remain constant in their fundamental motion, due to Earth's rotation, so they say, right, they appear differently in the northern hemisphere and southern hemispheres because of the Earth's spherical shape and the observer's position relative to the axis of rotation. But what that really is just, again, it's the way the human eye works and the limits of our eyeballs. So when you're in the north, again, the fact that the stars remain the same and the Polaris, the northern star, remains still and does not move and remains above the North Pole is just should say that we're not moving or going anywhere, and the sky is what's moving around us. The photos from space, they show the Earth is round. No, they don't. So many of the images taken from space are produced by NASA or similar organizations which have a vested interest in maintaining the round Earth narrative. So some photos are clearly digital composites, and discrepancies in different images show varying curvatures and Earth sizes. So in addition, space photography is unreliable and often manipulated to fit a particular agenda. And it goes back to what I said before about who's controlling the science, the scientists and researchers, the institutions and universities, the government, the private sectors and corporations. That's where the science is coming from. That's where it's being funded, and it's being funded with an agenda and a certain vested interest. So there's many arguments. It's the same old arguments again. Whether it's the Earth's shadow on the moon during a lunar eclipse, proven it's round, which it doesn't. The shape of the Earth's shadow during a lunar eclipse doesn't necessarily prove the Earth is round. A flat Earth model can also explain the shadow, with the possibility that it's the result of a similar local light source. Another argument is you can see a curve from high altitude. So I just explained how the optical distortions can show that, and whether it's taken live due to the lens or a fisheye lens, it can still, with or without, it can distort and make something flat appear to be curved. The thing with the ships disappearing over the horizon is the disappearing hull. So the effect can be explained by perspective and atmospheric refraction. Again, more science to back up the science that failed, right? So ships appear to vanish from the bottom up due to the limitations of our eyesight. So we're not superhuman. We don't have Clark Kent's superhuman vision. We can see across the Earth. Like, we can only see a certain distance in front of us, and everything else past that is distorted with you know, the smog, the atmosphere. Gravity is a proven force. No, gravity, as it is understood in mainstream science, is based on a theory that has never been directly proven. Coriolis effect is often misunderstood and misrepresented. It doesn't require a rotating Earth to explain the movement of fluids and air masses. So I don't know if I should keep going on, but I think I covered the star trails and the view from a balloon or whatnot, or any space imagery, and where that comes from.
Okay, I will give you a chance again if you've got something to present, because I'm sure Catz might ask you to back certain things up as the debate goes along.
Right.
Again, if you do, just let me know, and I'll set that up while Catz is doing his rebuttal. Are you surrendering the remainder of your time?
How much time do I have left?
Well, it's currently on 4:20. I'll pause it for a second.
Oh, okay. Well, I can keep going, actually, so that I can cover many of the points and the arguments that go with them. So
yeah, I'll start the time again, and I'll let you know when you've got a minute left. Yeah.
Right. So the time zones on Earth. People believe that because we have time zones, that it has to be round and it has to be what NASA says. So the time zones can be explained by the flat Earth model as well. If the sun is moving in a circular pattern above the Earth, different areas would experience daylight and darkness at different times. So the concept of time zones is based on local positions relative to the local small sun that is doing its rounds, and it's on its circuit over the flat Earth. Astronauts and space agencies have a track record of misleading or fabricated stories. Many astronauts are trained to follow scripts and present images that align with the round Earth narrative. So again, Masons, Freemasonic Brotherhood, all part of it. The sun and the stars, they're visible in the sky because the Earth is curved and they follow a specific path. So the sun and stars can be explained on a flat Earth with a different model of the cosmos. The sun could be much smaller and closer than the mainstream science claims, moving in the circular pattern above the Earth. So the sun, the stars, and all what we see are the supposed planets. They're actually just light sources in the firmament dome right there, 150,000 meters or feet above us, not light years across the endless galaxy or universe. Satellites and GPS, they don't, so GPS doesn't run on satellites, they run on ground towers. So many GPS systems work via triangulation from ground-based stations, not necessarily relying on satellites orbiting a spherical Earth. So the accuracy of GPS doesn't require the Earth to be round, and many satellite systems could operate different ways without relying on a spherical model. So I wanted to go back quickly to the evidence of a 24-hour sun. So most of the videos I said are manipulated or time lapse, which is easily could be doctored and stringed together and stitched up. We went over the historical accounts of the Antarctic Treaty, and of course, gas containment. So again, sorry, let me just going over my notes here. But there's way too many that I don't think can be explained for, and especially when the only explanation is the science and the research that is laid out in our books, on the internet, with this data that, you know, I've gone through the data. I've been a big globe earther most of my life, and it's just, that's all it is data. And once you realize that that stuff is bought and paid for, then you start to question it. So it's just everything. Water is always finding its level. Water, when undisturbed, always maintains a level surface. So oceans, rivers, and lakes, they all exhibit this property. Yeah, I guess I'm done. You can end it there. So I can go ahead with that and see what Catz has to say.
Okay, Nico, thanks for that. One thing I will say, I posted in chat, for some reason the plugin that lets me display your chats has decided to die tonight. But we will, at the next break, we will read everyone that you sent out in the stream. Right, Catz, I'm going to reset your clock now.
That sounded like a threat. Going to reset my clock. Oof.
Yeah, I am going to reset your clock as well, especially for reading that other super chat out. So yeah, Broughton's got a target on his head, let me tell you. Anyway, are you ready to go?
No, but let's do it anyway. Let's do it anyway.
One other thing, when you show, I mean, I've still got your shared screen in the studio, but hopefully if you share again, hopefully it'll be on the same setting. Otherwise, I'm going to set that up again. Just thought I'd let you know.
Oh, I am sure. Oh, I shouldn't have pressed stop sharing. You were going to take that down, weren't you?
Yeah, you preempted me a bit there, didn't you?
Yeah, I've screwed the tech up again. It's a habit. Right, I am sharing. I don't know if it's coming on screen or not.
Yeah, got it now.
Okay. So this is to address purely what Nico said in his opening. And I started off in my opening by wondering what kind of a flat earther Nico was. So I believe he's going down this side here where he's saying that the science does agree with the Bible. Things like perspective, how the eye works, does agree with what the Bible says. So we're now down here, and is Nico showing an understanding of that science? And it's all right if he's not. It's all right if he's not showing an understanding of it. If he doesn't know that he's not showing an understanding of it, then that's fine. That's honest mistake. Or in this debate, we're going to find out that it's me that doesn't have the understanding of it, and Nico can quite rightly call me out on that. That's what we're here for. Now, the first thing he said in his opening statement was that there was no observable curvature. And of course, this isn't a plane with windows or anything like that. We can talk about the Mage 2 satellite that Mr. Sensible sent up, where we can clearly see curvature. So to say there's no observable curvature would be incorrect. What we have to do if the Earth is flat is explain why we get these observations of curvature. So this is obviously a left to right observation of curvature that we get with extremely high altitudes. This is like 36,000 feet with that weather balloon. So we simply cannot say there's no observed curvature. It's right here on the screen. But in the forward and backward that we have later on, can Nico explain in depth rather than just saying it's how the eye works? Can he explain why we get that? So I'm sure we'll dig into that a little bit. When we start talking about curvature, going forward and backwards, again, things like this, we can't simply just say, oh, it's perspective, because that doesn't display any understanding of the science. It's like a catchphrase, it's perspective. So we'll dig deeper into this. This is obviously a sign of curvature. And if the Earth is flat, it needs to be explained away thoroughly using science. So again, I know this isn't the back and forth. We'll dig into that. And Nico might hopefully tell us why he believes this isn't a sign of curvature and why he believes it's down to the way the eye works or curvature. Can he explain that, or is saying those words just a catchphrase? The third thing he said was the flat horizon. And yes, I had this with Aaron last week. When you are stood on a huge ball and you're looking at the horizon, every single point on the horizon is going to be exactly the same distance away from you. And there's going to be no observable left to right curvature at that scale from that height. I'm not saying that, if you're compressing photographs and all, you might be able to detect a little bit. But for all intents and purposes, there should be no observable curvature. That is perfectly what we would expect. I mean, what did I have here? Where is it? The picture's coming up. There we go. It's this whole kind of thing, isn't it? We're not seeing left to right curvature when we're looking at that kind of scale. It's the same thing. So we would expect that. Of course, you would also expect it on a flat Earth. Yes. But you would expect it on a globe as well. The fourth thing he mentioned was flight paths, which I found was interesting. And we can talk about this. And I understand this. I understand if you look at a map like this, you might think the shortest distance from Washington to Madrid is that straight line. And this weird curvy one doesn't make any sense. I understand that looking at it like that. Am I still here? My internet seems to be taking a shit.
Yeah, you're still here, mate. Carry on.
Okay, cool. I understand that it might look confusing. However, if we start talking about, great circles, and I actually explain in the back and forth, all I can say now, Nico, is you have to trust me that when we wrap this around a ball, this curved line here is the shortest distance between the two. Maybe have a Google of great circle while I'm doing this rebuttal, and you'll see what I mean. And if you don't believe me, we can get into it in the back and forth. But this really is, on a globe, the shortest line between the two, not the straight line. Now, you said we should be able to see the effects of motion on planes, which is, again, see the effect of Earth's motion on planes is something you've said. And actually, I brought that up in my introduction, that we actually can see that effect. If we're on a plane traveling east or west, we actually get these predictable changes in weight, the Eötvös effect, which we can go into and we can discuss. I am interested to hear from you what you believe that effect on motion could be, that you expect to see. We've got to remember that planes have engines and they can be steered. They're not like in projectile motion or something like that. They are constantly altering and accounting for those bits of turbulence and friction with the atmosphere around them. There's constant adjustments as they're flying because they have engines. So I would be interested in hearing what you think that those effects of motion should be. You said the moon and the sun appear the same size, and that works on a flat Earth model. I mean, it also works on the globe model as well. That's not really... Yeah, I don't think there's much more to say about that. You mentioned hotspots. Well, if I go to the almost end of this PowerPoint, and I think you were talking about crepuscular rays, we can get into this later on. Oh, God, how much time did I put into doing this? We can see that when we're talking about hotspots and crepuscular rays, this was taken from a video of a channel of a guy called... I want to give him a shout out. I promise I'll find his name later on. He's got a YouTube channel. This is him showing crepuscular rays coming through his front door, and he's taken a photograph of them from one angle, and then he takes steps to the side, you actually see that it is perspective, just very much like train tracks. You take a step to the side of train tracks and they suddenly become parallel, and you know the parallel. But when you're looking them right down the barrel, you see something like this. And this, you know, nobody's going to believe that the sun is 2 meters outside this guy's front door. So I understand why you're saying that, but the reality is, in this case, it is perspective, and the perspective is exactly what we would expect to see. You talked about limits of vision, and I can only assume you're talking about the Rayleigh criterion and how our limit of vision, our resolution limit, is determined by the aperture of our eye and the wavelength of light that we're viewing through. We can talk about the Rayleigh criterion equation. I was a physics teacher. I taught to A-level. That's something I'm quite happy to talk about if you want to. But I will be asking you in the back and forth to, again, use the science you understand to describe and explain to me what you mean by limit of vision. Because it is a catchphrase that I hear a lot, but is there an underlying understanding of the science beneath that? Or is it a catchphrase? You talk about inconsistency with NASA, and I've written down NASA inconsistencies. I'll be honest, I can't remember exactly what you said about that, so maybe you can quiz me on that in the thing. I can't remember what you said. Michelson and Morley, you brought up, to do with the Earth's motion. This came up in the debate last week. Now, I don't know. Can you just give us a thumbs up if you've read the Michelson-Morley paper, or a thumbs down if you haven't? Is that okay? I don't know if you can. You haven't. Okay. So when we read the Michelson-Morley paper, and I can do this, we did this last week. Basically, when you read it, there is absolutely no indication anywhere in this paper or experiment that the Earth is not in motion. It was an experiment that failed to detect a relative movement between the ether and the Earth. And then the ether has since just been discarded anyway. But the paper, in fact, makes lots of reference to the fact that we know the Earth is in motion, which is why we can perform this experiment. So I know lots of flat earthers do talk about Michelson and Morley and Urey's failure, saying the Earth is stationary. But actually, if you read the papers, and we can, they do reference the fact that the Earth very much definitely is in motion. And I can show you those bits when we're actually going back and forth. But it definitely does not say the Earth is not moving. The 24-hour sun, you said, is... Right, I can't remember what I've just wrote. 24-hour sun equals proof. I'm not sure whether you said that's proof of flat Earth or proof of... You might have to elaborate with me in the back and forth. I can't remember why I wrote that down. Sorry. And then you talked about refraction, which indeed is a thing. And you said that could cause the 24-hour sun. Again, I might want to... I know refraction is a thing, obviously, but I want to pick your brain on how refraction can cause... that video we saw, that 24-hour movement, but 1 minute. But also, I know you're saying that the final experiment is fake and there is no 24-hour sun. So if there is no 24-hour sun and it's fake, why bring up refraction to say that could cause a 24-hour sun? I'm not sure how those two arguments join together without contradicting each other. Again, not looking for an argument, just to understand why you believe some of the things you believe and why you've said some of the things you've said. So I will be giving you time to explain those. And I am interested in hearing what you've got to say on those. Other than that, you don't want me to stop sharing screen, do you, Doom? You're going to take it off, aren't you?
I'll take it off for you, yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. That's the first two segments over. We're going to have a super chat break now. I need to ask Catz to read them out because, like I said, my super chat device, we'll call it, being polite, has decided to die on me. So we'll just have to read them for tonight. I will mend it for next time, I promise.
Well, we will start with, and I know we've already read this one out, but it was the only one we got before we started, so I'm going to read it out again. This is Can't Read the Other Day in a Normal Voice Anymore, has bought 20 memberships. So thank you so much for that. There is a members Discord server for this channel. Doom will fill you in later on with how to access that, I'm sure. He's the boss over there. General E. Shady for $2 says, will we see Cracker Catz today? He's only human. I'm not quite sure I get the reference, but maybe. I don't know. Cracker Catz, I'm going to have to think what that might be. Mike Hatch says, if you don't believe the science, go do it yourself. And I actually quite like, one of the questions I am going to ask you later on, Nico, is if you were given the opportunity now, would you go to the Antarctica, to see for yourself? Would that be something you're interested in? But I'll ask you that later. Otto says, and listen, Nico, I've got to read out a super chat. That's the thing. So if some of them are negative against you, don't hold it against me. Okay, I've got to read them out. But Nico, so from Otto for $2 says, Nico might need some money to buy more subscribers. I'm not accusing you of buying subscribers, Nico. It's super chat. Don't lynch me when this is done. Present 99 again, sir, says, who is the guy in the thumbnail anyway? That's not Nico for sure. Well, the bald one was me. The thumbnail is Nico. It was taken from Nico's channel, I believe. Doom made the thumbnail. He might fill you in on that. Present 99 again for 10. I don't know if that's euros or pounds. My screen's a bit small. It's one of those squiggly ones. It's definitely not dollars. It's one of the two. He doesn't know of Mage. He doesn't know of Mage in reality. I bet he's new on this grift. This was before his time, I bet. Now, actually, I was speaking to Nico behind the scenes, and he says he's been in Flat Earth for a long time, but not really on YouTube. So he might not know about the whole Mage saga. So that might be something new for us to talk about. He might not know about that at all, actually. Dora and Ku, hello, Dora, says, can Nico Steelman star rotation on the globe? And I love that. I am going to ask him that in the back and forth. I think that's a great point. Can't read the other day in a normal voice anymore. Said, Catz is playing Nico like a fiddle. He really did use those exact arguments, Catz said, and showed his lack of scientific knowledge. Brilliant. Well, we're not into the back and forth yet. You know, he might absolutely school me. We don't know. We're getting there. You know, this could end very badly for me. We're about to find out. Timo Lynch, who's coming up to get drunk with me next week, says the famous GPS ground towers on the oceans. Yeah, maybe we'll learn more about them. Present 99 again, man. Catz, when you explain all of this, just look at his eyes. At no point is there any reaction or even attention. Nothing. I don't know. I think Nico's playing a poker face and not giving anything away is what I think. I think he's very poker faced and concentrating. But thank you anyway. Tommy Gronvold for 50 knock. Thank you. Says both Rory and myself have captured the side curvature of their eyes and drawing a straight edge. It's the yes. I saw your comment on the video last week, and I was saying, you know, nobody would be able to see it. And you know, you are right. I've looked at your stuff. It's not discernible from a man stood on the horizon, absolutely. But yeah, with what you did was fantastic to show that it is there. You are correct on that, sir. And I was wrong last week. IC Spin says, shush, be very, 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 very quiet. I'm hunting wabbits. Okay, awesome. M2M. You know M2M, I asked AI today to recommend a good video about shadows. I wanted to take some images from, and it recommended your video. So yeah, M2M, if you can subscribe to him, is brilliant. All the so-called solutions to the 24-hour sun rely on the dome that has never been proven to exist. So they fall apart from the get-go. And that is all of them for now.
Mentioned, I've seen another gifted from Present 99.
Have we?
Yeah, he's gifted 50 memberships again.
Oh, where did that go? Why is that not on viewer activity? Yes, I can see at the top of the thing. Oh, Present, you incredibly generous person. You really, really are. And thank you so much for that. Thank you. That's amazing. I'm going to be honest. I'm sweating my balls off here. The heating's on, and I need to put a t-shirt on. I can't. I'm going to have to run and put a t-shirt on. Doom. I've never been this, but I'm absolutely sweating. I'll be 10 seconds. I'll just take my jumper off. I've actually got a t-shirt on, but I'll take my jumper off on the other side of the door. I'm going to pass back to you for 10 seconds.
No worries. You know, you always get nightmares about this happening. I didn't prepare a script. So, I mean, I could tell a dad joke, but there's a guy in the chat that could probably tell better ones than I do. And there he is. That's really quick. Thank you for saving me there, Catz.
Sorry, what was that? I've just put my earphone in.
I didn't say anything of any note. Don't worry about it. Like always. Right, I'm going to unlock both microphones now. So, Nico, you are now unmuted as well. Third stage can commence when you want. Please, like I said, I'm sure you will do. Conduct it civilly. Let the other person speak and finish speaking before you jump in. If there's lag, then obviously try and account for that. So away you go, gentlemen.
Nico, I'll pass it over to you first. You are the guest on the show, and I've just been speaking for ages, so take it away.
Yeah, thank you. So basically, well, I honestly, we had planned this for a couple of weeks now, and you did mention the breakdown of how you wanted to do this, and I was in agreement. I was like, yeah, I can save the Bible debate for someone else, and I put in a lot of notes here and research, and it all goes down to the science. So, and again, I keep saying that the science can be manipulated. There's a bias in research, there's funding and conflicts of interest, publication pressures where scientists are often under pressure to publish results to maintain their careers and funding, suppression of research. So basically, after looking at it and trying to find the scientific evidence to prove that the earth is flat or disprove that the globe is a lie, there's a lot of failed experiments, but then like with the Michelson one, that's because the experiment with this ether they tried to prove kind of like went against them, and it proved that there was no motion of the earth, and that's when more science came about to prove to basically back up. It's called damage control. So they use science to damage control. They fund some new research, and then boom, they come up with these new ideas that back up their previous failed experiment. So I definitely don't trust the science. I'll trust my own observations and results, but when it comes down to the people that are in control of the science, that's what I have an issue with. So that's what's pushed me to go back to the Bible and trust in the Word of God. And people think that's crazy. Like, how can you trust in a fairy tale, fictional 2,000-year-old book written by man as opposed to modern day science? I'm like, what is modern day science? It's just money. It's just an agenda and biased opinions, right? So I'm over science. I definitely am on whichever side you're putting on that graph there.
Oh, am I sharing screen, or is this on screen already? Sorry, I was setting this up to reply to you. I didn't mean to disrupt you.
So
sorry,
the science. When it comes to science, and people are like so invested in science, like science to me is a cult. It's a religion. Like they do have a science religion, Scientology. I'm not saying that science is Scientology, but it's close enough to me that it's a cult, money-based religion pushing an agenda, and it's easy to pick apart, right? And it's, and especially when the science can't really prove the agenda that they're trying to push, and it's full of all these discrepancies and inconsistencies and weak evidence, right? Or composite images and CGI video. It's easy to not trust, right? Especially when CGI and NASA were formed the exact same year. So that's very interesting too.
So sorry, mate, I didn't mean to crack on.
So basically, I don't trust the science because it very much can be and is manipulated through funding and governments. And I'll save the rest. You can go ahead.
Okay, so I don't want to misrepresent you, so I'm going to say what I think you've said. And if at any point I misrepresent you, just interrupt me, okay? Because I want us to be on the same page. So what I think Nico is saying is that if we talk about any aspect of science, whether it be geometry or physics of, I don't know, gravity or perspective or any of those things, if we actually start, or the Opvos effect or these predictions that we might make using science, it won't agree with the Bible. But that's not because the Bible's wrong. It's because the science itself is somehow tainted. Would I be right? Is that your opinion? I don't want to straw man you.
Basically, from what I am understanding, is that science was basically created, like this new version of science, like basic science, like you talked about math and 90-degree angles, like that's how they get you into this cult religion of science, is with its truth mixed in with the disinformation that will come later. Okay. So I say that science was created purposely to disprove the Bible, to make it look a certain way and discredit it and be like, wow, our science is showing something different, and this book is the science was created to make the Bible look like some kind of fairy tale story.
So if I was to show you things like, we would talk about Foucault's pendulum or the Eötvös effect, or things like that, things that can make predictions that we can test to show the Earth is a globe. Obviously, that's based on scientific understanding. That because these aren't direct observations of things, you would agree. And again, I don't want to straw man you, right? So tell me if you think I'm wrong, but you would agree that actually, yes, if we went and studied and learned the actual science, these things would support the idea of a globe. But you just think the science itself is incorrect.
When it gets down to things like this, yeah, I think it's made up, it's manipulated. Of like, where do these equations come from? And we study them in school, and we don't know where they come from. We're just told it's meant for this and proves this, and this is the equation for Newton and stuff like that. Like, I've measured supposed gravity with these equations they've given us, and that's all it is. It just seems so like, and it's made up. It doesn't really prove anything. So again, I can see science can be real to prove something, and it can be fake to make something seem real and disprove something else.
Okay,
so that can be two science.
Sorry, Nico, that was my bad.
Yeah, sorry, I keep.
Yeah, no. It was me. I didn't mean to speak over you. I promised I wouldn't. My internet is taking shits every now and then. There was a lag. You crack on. Oh, okay. Right. So, in that case, I'm not going to talk about these experimental things. I mean, what I will say is, as a science teacher, these equations, I understand they may look like they've been plucked out of somebody's arsehole, from the middle of nowhere. But actually, we can learn how they're arrived at, how they're derived, and what the scientific evidence for those things are. But we're not, we won't go there with that because we haven't got the time to cover that. So what we'll do is we'll not talk about any of those things. We'll just jump straight to observable, because you said that in your opening statement. You just want observable facts.
Yeah.
Now, something like this, and again, I did say offline, I was going to give you time to fully flesh out how certain things could happen that I believe are indications of curvature. So just to check we're on the same, I'm going to use what Dora said before, this kind of idea of a steel man, right? Pretend you're not a flat earther for a second. Just pretend you're not. Pretend you believe in the globe. Can you just tell me why, as a globe believer that you're pretending to be, why would this be evidence of the globe? Just make sure that you've got that before we can discuss it.
Well, as a globe earth believer, which I have been most of my life, things like this image makes me question space instantly, because from what they've given us about this giant fireball that's in our solar system, that's as big as it is and hot as it is, this image and the way the light travels in straight lines, the shadow, obviously the sun is below the mountain and it's local clearly, and it's within those clouds, and the light shining from the sun is directly on the mountain, casting a shadow up towards the clouds.
But so, as a global, so I know you said it's going to make me question. I'm not saying that you are a globe believer. What I'm saying is, why would I then? Why would I believe this is evidence for a globe? What do you think is my understanding of why I think this is evidence for a globe? Do you? I mean, I can show you, but I just want to.
I'm thinking because you're okay as a globe person. They're trying to say that the sun is. Because we're on this ball, the sun is supposedly at this other end of the ball, so the light coming from it is casting up, and that's probably the explanation you're going to give of the sun going towards. So yeah, you're going to be saying the sun's to the left or whatever, the mountain's up there.
Yeah, I'm just going to get this dead quick. You keep talking just while I'm getting the sketch.
Yeah. The sun. I've been there. I've tried to explain space myself for decades until I started seeing the sun and the moon in the same sky. So obviously I grew up in the 80s, and the sun was out in the day, the moon was out at nighttime. Since when, after we turned into this millennium in the 2000s, we started to see a daytime moon, which is like, I've never seen a daytime moon before. And I've always been someone that looked up at the sky and the stars and everything, a stargazer, if you want to call it. And then it was only in the last decade or so. So yeah, that's exactly the explanation I see in the diagram there.
Okay,
then we get more of that. How come we don't get that anomaly happen more often if the Earth is moving around the sun? So they say, then we'd get more shadows cast on clouds and stuff like that because of the angle. So this angle would happen all the time, right? So this kind of disproves the globe because then we don't see that all the time.
Well, we do. Now, on land, you'd need some kind of big landmass like this mountain. But actually, from a plane, now I did send Doom a video, and I'm going to ask him to play it. I'll tell you which video it is, and if I just get on here. So Doom, the video I just wanted to show is video 12. Now, what you're going to see here is a pilot. Now, you will if you're a regular flyer, you may have seen this yourself. It's not an unusual thing. This is a pilot flying into. So if I just get my little plane, which is going to be this rectangle here. Okay, so my little plane now is starting to fly this way, and the clouds that it's flying above are receiving this sunlight from below. Right, we'll move the mountain. It's receiving the sunlight from below, and you would expect, therefore, to see the clouds lit up from below. And this is quite a regular thing. So I'm going to show you this video. It's called Sun in Clouds. Have you got it, Doom?
Yeah, I've just played it twice.
Oh, while I've been talking? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so let's do that again. Did you see that, Nico?
No, I didn't.
Right, so what I'll do, right, the crowd is... So I'll just...
We're looking at your diagram, and then you have to add in all the motion and the spin and the force. Like, that doesn't make sense.
I'll just grab a screenshot of it for you, so you can see what I'm talking about. I've just got the video on my... Oh, in fact, am I still showing my screen?
You're not. Well, you can see it. Nico can see it because he can see it in the studio, but it's not being shown to everyone else.
Oh, would you mind? Because I'm going to pause it at certain bits. Would you mind just to present it again?
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is what we're saying. We've got a pilot now. Over and over and over and over. We're not at the best bit yet, but we can see those clouds being lit up from underneath. And actually, bang, there we go. We can see the sun right here. Right here, we can see the sun. And the plane is clearly above the sun. Clearly. There's no way of mixing that to say that the plane is below the sun.
So wait, hold on a second. So yeah, you just said it yourself. That is the sun below the clouds and the plane is above it. So how is that possible with the sun supposed to be 93 million miles away and light traveling in straight lines, when that looked to me that the sun was actually right there, which goes according to the flat earth and biblical earth model with the local sun that moves around our flat earth and lights it up locally. So that's what I saw from that footage.
Okay. So this rectangle I'm waving around is the plane, yeah? That's the plane. The sun's down here. The clouds that he was flying above are here. So when the plane is over here, that's why the clouds are appearing lit up. That's why the sun can be visible through those gaps in the clouds. Just like it would be visible if there was no clouds, you could see the sun. The fact that there are clouds and the sun can be seen through it is no different than seeing the sun with no clouds. But the point is, those clouds are clearly being lit up from underneath, just like we see with this picture here. So I get, I'm not going to convince you the Earth is a globe, but what I am trying to convince you of is the globe has an explanation for that. So what I would like to know is, do you think flat Earth has an explanation for that? And if you do, what I'd like to do is give you time to flesh it out. So I'm, like I said before the stream, I'm going to give you time to flesh it out. I'm going to make some notes on what you're saying, so, we can all see your argument properly represented. I'm going to type what you say, if that's okay. But what would your explanation be? And I'll try and type along.
So again, it goes back to our observations and what we see the sun in the sky. We don't see it in space. We don't see it being 93 million miles away. So without the science that is told to us and indoctrinated into us from a young age, we wouldn't ever come up with that kind of theory. We wouldn't even come up with space or a galaxy. We just know that it was there. And when you have videos like that now with the clouds being lit up from underneath, and you can fully see the round shape of the sun, not light coming from it in straight lines, which is what you would see if it were in space. And that's with everything being still, not moving. We still have to add in that the globe is spinning and moving in motion around this fireball that's also traveling directly straight at ridiculous amounts of speed. So we still have to add that in and take into account what we're able to see. And look at the shadow on the mountain there. Yeah, it's all perfect and still shining up on the cloud. So on the flat Earth model, we have a small local sun that moves around the tropics and the equator, right, clockwise. And there's the moon, also of the exact same size. It's not a moon rock in space that you can touch or land on and put flagpoles in like Apollo 11 did. It's the lesser light for the night, and the sun is the greater light for the day. So again, that's mentioned in biblical text and scripture, and it's what we see. And this is what woke me up to flat Earth, is that I looked at the sky and I saw the sun and the moon, and what I saw was that it wasn't in space. What I saw was that it was right there in the sky with clouds behind it and in front of it. Same with the moon. And to see them both in the sky at the same time, it was just like something's wrong. Because I was a strong believer in the science of space and all that, and that pretty much did it for me. And it just pretty much was the moment I had to unlearn everything and come up with how this is possible. And that's how the flat Earth and biblical cosmology pretty much came back to me, right?
Okay. Now, I understand that what I've done is I've thrown something at you that I didn't email you about, because we were going to have this back and forth. So I understand you didn't know I was going to present this. You didn't know I was going to present the video. And I've caught you on the fly and just said, can you explain it to me? This is what I've tried to type down as you've been explaining. In here, though, there is no mention of why the pilot would see it beneath the cloud. And I get it. If it's a case of like, I've thrown it at you and it's just because you might throw something at me and I'd be like, shit, I don't know. I need some time for that. Is this one of those things? Or reading what we've got there, do you think that is an explanation that fits?
Well, again, it's also what I've seen from the ground, not just as a kid, but as recent as 2022, I actually saw the sun pass over my head within what looked like man-made clouds, because they had right angles on it. And I was already years into the flat Earth, and seeing that was just more like, wow, this is, to me, that's my science, right? Unfunded, without any organization or government or university. I saw what I saw, and then I saw other light sources following it. So that's the story for another day. But this is pretty much how I can explain that, yeah, the sun is 100% local within our atmosphere, is in the sky, physically in the sky, or the light that we see is in the sky, not coming from space. There's no trickery with refraction or anything like that, or mirages, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when sorry, again, I would
sorry, you crack on. It's me.
So when that pilot, as you show, was flying and he could see, what he was looking at was the sun right there. Without the science, he's not gonna, like, his senses are saying it's right there. The light is shining underneath the clouds, not above it, where it should be on the heliocentric model. And yes, your diagram shows it at a certain angle to explain how that could be, but again, I find that kind of, yeah, it's just it's not science to me. Again, that looks like bias. That's a bias. That's where the bias comes in with science, that people want to push their own agenda and their own belief system. So that's how they can just come up with new theories all the time. And it's like, I just keep seeing it, but it's not full on evidence. NASA still doesn't have video footage of the sun at that angle, shining its light up at Mount Kilimanjaro, say, which is causing the shadow up on the clouds underneath it.
I will agree with you on something. Like you said that, you know, the pilot using his senses, the sun would look like it feels like it's right there. And I agree with that. That is obviously what it looks like when you're right there from a visual point of view. I think, I disagree with you when it comes to the explanation, but I'm not going to convince you of that. The aim, like I said all along, is to understand why you believe what you believe. It's up to the chat to decide whether the globe offers a more coherent explanation, or whether what you said is more coherent. That's up to the chat. I'm not going to convince you. You're not going to convince me. I'm happy to move on to a different point. I've got a few to bring up, but also I don't want to dominate things. Have you got something you want to bring up?
Well, again, observations, everything I've been able to observe, and I want to know if I need to know if other people observe them too, because science is very selective. When I go out there and I see certain things and have questions and I go to science, that's when you know that science is selective, because certain things is just not there. There's no funding for it, right? Anything to do with the Bible, there's no funding for that kind of science, like the Great Flood. So if the Great Flood, as it says in Genesis and the Bible, happened, then there'd be evidence of our society being a post-flooded world. So once I try to disprove the Bible and see if I could look around the earth and see if there was any evidence of a post-flood that flooded the whole earth, and I was like, whoa, there actually is evidence with buildings and structures all over the world that are very suspicious and have been there for thousands of years, hundreds, centuries, right? That can't be replicated. Then you try to find the science. The science has holes in it, but the Bible doesn't. And the Bible, the book of Enoch, even, I have them right here, explain. So I go back to these texts because science doesn't explain what I'm seeing and waking up to in the world. So when I'm looking at these buildings and have these questions how they were built, but science can't explain it, and when you look at it, you find some discrepancies and manipulation, and then the Bible explains it better, then you're like, whoa, there's something going on. So that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, well, and that's all I asked, to understand where you come from. The fact that you brought up the flood and stuff like that, we do debate all topics. Maybe that's one for, maybe one I can moderate on, and you can have like a young Earth or Noah's flood debate with somebody. So I get that. But I believe, okay, I'm going to bring something else up in a minute. I believe that the explanation the globe gives for observations like this is spot on. Okay, I believe that works perfectly. I know you believe yours does too. So let's move on to something else. I'm going to show you this little video here, taken by somebody called Ranty. He used to go by the. Are you familiar with Ranty? Because I know you've not been on YouTube for a while. Do you know who Ranty is?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, so Ranty, when I used to be around before I took a break for a few years and come back. Ranty was part of Nathan Oakley's Flat Earth debate team. Then he branched out. He had a channel of his own called Ranty Flat Earth. And he did lots and lots of observations. To be fair, he was probably the only flat earther who really did any observations at all. And he did analyze them. And actually, he did them and analyzed them to a point where this photograph that I'm pointing at here behind me, he went to that place and he saw the photograph, and I actually met him there afterwards. And we went out, we had a few games of pool and stuff. He did so much observation and analysis of the data. He decided he was no longer a flat earther because the observations he made didn't comport with a flat earth. This is one of his videos. And what we can see, I'll just mute it, is he was in Morecambe and he saw a boat sailing off, obviously into the sea. And as he kept filming the boat, what happened was this that you can see on screen here. And eventually the boat, if I can come down to here, And we have got the whole video. This isn't like some screenshots I'm just making up. The whole video lasted about half an hour, which is why I'm not playing it. You just have to believe that this is a video. If you don't, I can send it you after the debate. But he actually showed the video of this boat disappearing, and it completely vanished over the horizon. There was no bringing it back. Now, obviously, on the globe, there's a perfect explanation for that. What would be the flat Earth explanation for that?
Okay, so this is taken with a very powerful lens or a telescope, and we know that with the naked eye, the human eye, with no camera manipulation, if you're standing at sea and you're watching a boat travel away from you, it's eventually going to look as though it disappears with the naked eye. So the modern science will say, oh, it went over the curve of the globe. But then if you get a camera and zoom in with a lens, remember it's a lens, it's magnifying, or a telescope, and you zoom in, that boat you'll be able to see it again. So obviously it didn't go over the curve because you're pulling it in. And as it goes further and further and further, and you're trying to zoom in more, that's where you get this distorted images and blurry mirage looking effects, because there's only so much the camera lens can focus in, right? So you need to get bigger telescopes, more powerful lenses, but then that will neaten up, right? So obviously the lens or camera used only went so far until it started to get distorted. But if you had one of them big, powerful telescopes like the Vatican has, the Lucifer, right, then it would have brought it back perfect. Maybe they could probably zoom in and you'd be able to see Paris, right? So
I understand what you're saying. You're saying that you can. What I would say is, actually, if you can bring it back, it's not gone over the horizon yet, and there'll come a point where you can't bring it back anymore.
lens, right? Yeah.
But we're obviously not going to agree on that, but at least I understand what you're saying. So with this bit here, what I'm going to ask is, why does it disappear in the way it disappears? Now, we can see the thickness of the boat, left to right, that I'm hovering over. It's remaining quite thick, isn't it? But the height of the boat has just vanished. So why would it disappear in a way where it disappears height-wise, but very little difference thickness-wise? And also, as it's disappearing, I mean, if we get this one here, this wind turbine that I'm covering here is further away than the boat. So why is that not disappeared if it's further away? And also, if we were to actually look at the blades of the turbine, and while the video is on, measure the length of the blades of the turbine, what we actually see is we know these turbines are the same style of turbine. It's the one off the coast of Hisham, I believe. We know that they are the same type. We know that these blades are the same length, right? And these are the same length. I haven't got a scale. This one here is a lot further away, okay? A lot further away. We can see here it's probably about a third shorter. The turbine length is about a third shorter. I'll put these markers on so you can see. But its height, it's only half. It's not a third. It's not lost a third of height. It's lost over a half of height. So it appears that when things disappear, as I would say, over the horizon, yes, they get a little bit narrower and smaller, but they seem to massively take a jump in a loss of height, but only a narrow jump in a loss of width. Now, I can explain that by the fact that the horizon is actually just hiding the bottom of things. But what would be in fact, I am interested in this, so I'm just going to whack up a PowerPoint. Just take your time, don't jump in. But I'm going to ask the question: why do things lose height as they go over the horizon, but not width, or not width to the same degree? Like I did before, I'm not going to rush you, but I am going to write down what you think, and then we can just compare models. That's all.
So I can answer that.
Yes, and I'll type it. Yeah, you
basically those images is what is being seen through the naked eye. So with the
they were taken by camera, not the eye.
Yeah, so by camera. So you got to take into account with the naked eye, those visuals wouldn't exist. You wouldn't be able to see that. You'd see nothing. But then you get the technology and you get this camera and this lens, whether it's a 400 zoom or a 1000 zoom lens, it's going to get to a point where it's going to zoom in. So you got to account the camera's here. It's covering all of this distance across the ocean or lake or sea to where this boat is, right? So you're trying to make up all this distance that the naked eye cannot cover or see. So when you get this lens and you put it through and you zoom in, you'll catch it. But it's gonna get distorted to a point. The further the boat travels away, the camera and the lens, it's what is struggling and causing this distortion in this image, but that makes it look like the turbines are different sizes and different widths and stuff like that. But when in reality, they're not.
Now, a distortion, if it is down to some optical effect, distortions will be quite random. This is a very repeatable thing where things disappear vastly. They don't just get shorter, but they start to miss huge parts of the bottom. But as it gets thinner, it's not missing the right-hand side or missing the left-hand side. It's still fully visible left to right, but it's not fully visible top to bottom. So again, I wonder why that would happen. I mean, I understand what you've said. I've written down what you've said. I still think, and it's up to the chat to decide, I still think the explanation of curvature perhaps is a better explanation than that. I know you'll disagree. But why am I losing things from the bottom completely and I'm not losing things left to right?
Again, it's what the camera and the lens can handle over a certain distance. So if I've done it with cameras, when you ultimately zoom in on any image or video, the pixels get pixelated and very distorted. But if you set out, again, a laser pointer that goes directly straight and built a platform along that laser line and walked it towards where this boat supposedly went over the horizon, you'll walk straight up to it and the turbines will be perfectly straight and aligned and the same size. So again, it's what we can see with the naked eye and compared to what is being seen through the lens of a camera or a telescope, depending on all kinds of glassware that it's using and mirrors that it's using or mirrorless. So that you have to take that into account now. So you can't use the human eye to look at what the lens of a camera is seeing and make a call and say, oh, that's some scientific explanation for the globe.
Why bottom up, though, and not maybe top down or left to right? Why bottom up?
It's because the ocean is obviously laid out and it's what can be seen from immediately in front of the camera and goes out to a certain distance. So that's what's being compressed and distorted to look like it's different levels above. And the further and what's out in the distance, whether it's a building, a skyscraper, a boat, a yacht, it's going to kind of rise above that and make it look like those things are below it because of how the camera has to adjust for the distance, whether it's a kilometer away. Like we cannot see that far ahead of us, and the camera can bring you some image, but it's not going to be perfect depending on the lens, the camera, the technology. So that's what's happening.
So the water, so the water is between the camera and the building.
Yeah.
But so is the sky, isn't it? And on a cloudy day like you can see here, the clouds and the sky are still between. So why are we not seeing
the sky is below the water too? The water is covering some of the sky as well.
Would that not also perhaps be because of curvature and the atmosphere is curved around the Earth? Why would the sky even? I don't know. But let me show this building we see here. Obviously, there's a huge amount missing at the bottom. And if I put this video on, this is the same building. These are all Soundly's. Soundly left years ago from the Flat Earth scene, but he did say anyone could use his content. Dead nice guy. What he's done is he's superimposed, he's scaled this picture, and you'll see it's perfectly to scale when they disappear. You'll see just how much of these buildings are missing at the bottom, just how much. We're talking over half. So that's what we see. And here, zooming in and when we overlay it so it perfectly fits, we semi-transparent, we can see that he's got the scale right. We've got over half. And I'm just wondering, given the fact that this is a repeatable thing that we see literally all of the time, it has to be predictable. And I'm just wondering, do you have a way to predict how much should be missing?
So again, if you're going by that and saying this is proof that the earth is curving and because of this one building is below half, then if you use this data and try to map out the shape and the earth's going to be tiny. It's not going to account for all of the continents and the people on it. If the earth is as big and has the amount of people and is curving the way it says, this building should not be halfway below the horizon. Otherwise, the earth is very, very small then, right? We'd be able to walk around it in a few hours.
I understand it might look like that from the scale. This is highly zoomed in. This is actually a much greater distance than you might think. But of course, I should have said that before. So yeah, if this was as close as it looks without zoom, yes, you'd be right. But it is highly zoomed in. But no, I started tonight to try and find out what drove you to believe what you believe. And I understand that, like you said before at the beginning, and I don't want to straw man you, but you believe that, yes, when we actually go to the science and the geometry and what the science says, it does support a globe and it doesn't agree with the Bible, but you don't have faith in that science. And I respect your viewpoint on that. And I've tried to throw some globe observations at you. Have you got any flat earth observations you want to throw at me that I can try and react to?
So first of all, the science. Would you trust that science? Look what happened 4 years ago. That same science. I'm going to tiptoe around this because,
please,
again,
yeah. I know where you're going. Yeah,
I'm glad I don't trust the science because I didn't do what science tried to tell the whole world to do in 2020 during that thing, right? So, according to the science, I should be dead a long time ago, right? Because I did not comply with the mandates and the rules and the mandatory things. So, and it was a big propaganda machine pumping out 24/7. If you don't get it, you're going to end up dead or get your elderly or kill your parents or your grandparents if you don't take this medicine, right? Or poison. So that science is not to be trusted the same way that this science that's supposed to be proving a globe and disproving the Bible is very questionable. So again, that's a good argument I'd like to stick to is the science said I should be dead, and yet I'm still here.
So you don't trust the science. I mean,
no.
I would have different opinions to you on that, but it's not a debate about that. But you don't trust the science. But the point is, am I straw manning you by saying that you agree the science supports a globe? It's just the science you don't trust. Is that a straw man?
The science. Okay, what is science? That's what I'm saying. These are just experiments. Anyone can create an experiment to prove a theory that they believe in, right? So science is easily manipulated and can be made up from scratch to prove something and have it mathematically work, even though it's working on an absolute nothing. That's what science is.
So what I'll do, I've thrown a couple of things at you, and I know you didn't expect them to be thrown at you, and you've been caught on the spot with a couple of them, and I appreciate you giving your answer. What I'm going to do now is give you the chance to throw some flat earth proofs, not kind of like digs at the globe or digs at science, but an actual proof that the earth will be flat. I'll log it here, and then I'll try and respond just like you responded to me. So I'll log them here so I can go through them. But what's your first flat earth proof?
Wow. So the first flat earth proof would be just the way the world is, the way that we're banned from certain places that we know for a fact they're hiding. So the whole Antarctic Treaty, like no one finds it suspicious that we have a treaty banning. Like we have all these countries in the world get along and agree on this treaty, but in everyday regular life, they hate each other and some of them are at war with each other, but they still hold dear to this treaty because it's so important that Antarctica needs to be protected, even though it's so cold and full of snow and ice and nothing. But yet we just seen a whole experiment take place with there, and the weather looked lovely. It looked like a holiday destination for me. So people, why is there a treaty for somewhere that is pretty safe to go to? So
okay,
let me see. Yeah, go ahead. I'm just going to
just to reply on that one. Is that okay? Sorry. Okay, so let's say the Earth isn't a globe, right? And I believe the Earth is a globe, but it's not. It's actually a dodecahedron or a pyramid shape. And I ask you, can you give me your best dodecahedron proof or your best pyramid shape proof? You could still say this exact same thing because it's not really actually relating to the geometry, the actual shape of the Earth. It's obviously a distrust of the way things are, but can you expand on that to differentiate between the Earth being flat and the Earth being a dodecahedron or a pyramid? What about this actually makes you think no, it must actually be physically flat?
Well, you can just go back historical accounts of the Earth from different civilizations, from different parts of the world, from different cultures, different races. They've all somehow known and come up with the exact same cosmology for our Earth, with a dome covering it, not in a triangle pyramid shaped. It's always been the same curved, rounded dome with the stars placed in it, whether it was the Egyptians or Mesopotamians, any or all of them, except our modern day culture with NASA, depicted a flat Earth, firm on its foundations, were some with water above, separating from the waters below, with a dome physical firmament in between.
Okay, now when you say historical accounts, I mean, I can't disagree that in the past people thought the Earth was flat. Okay, I can't disagree with that. What I would say to that is, as we learn new things, we rule out certain options because we now know they're impossible, and one of those things was the flat Earth. And but I do agree with you that historically, going back a long time, people would have, a very long time, people would have thought the Earth was flat. So I agree with that. But is that in itself? Well, we'll leave that as a proof. I'm going to get, if you don't mind, I'm going to get rid of this first one because it doesn't act as a proof. Well, no, I'll leave it in because otherwise I'm just being a dick and taking away things you've said. But I'm going to put it in red. But
guys, can I just interject? I'm just going to put it out there. Can we do some more super chats, because we are getting quite a few?
Yeah.
Or do you want to wait until after this, because there could be quite a lot more?
Well, I'll read them, but I was also thinking, because we've got the after show booked at 11, people from the chat might want to ask, should I read them out and we just go straight to questions from chat, maybe, and then we can shut this down and start the after show?
If Nico's happy to go along them lines, yeah, I'm fine with that.
I think all of the questions from chat will be for you, Nico, anyway, because you're the guest. So I think you'll be busy in that section. But Nico, while I'm in this out, I want to say, listen, it's been dead civil, and you're welcome back anytime. So thank you. And feel free to mirror this or do what you want with it on your channel.
I will do. Thanks.
Okay, so where were we up to? 50.
9:51. Can't read the other day.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Got it.
Okay,
so can't read the other day in a normal voice anymore for 2CHF. I don't know what CHF is. Says, it's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. Yeah, that was... I've got a really shit t-shirt on as well, but still, never mind. Hoyner gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Hoyner, for that. Burnham, for $1.99, says, now Catz can show off the 24-hour guns. No, I've lost a lot of strength. I snapped a tendon in my hand over 6 months ago, and I can barely lift a toothpick. I'm getting back into it, but I've lost an awful lot of size and strength. I really have. It'll come back, though. Crafty Keeler, take it off, Catz. Oh, no, wait, put it back on. Yeah, that's more like it. Kidding. Thanks. No, you're all right. It's probing time. 666. Nathan Oakley's daddy is a new member. Timo Lynch said, did Alistair Crowley fund NASA, Nico? Well, I tell you what, let's have that as a question. Doom, can you write that down? Did Alistair Crowley found NASA? Because that's a question for Nico for later.
Yeah.
Or Nico, if you remember that question, that's one for you for when we come back. Basal problem. Again, another question for you, Nico. I'd appreciate if you could jot some of these down because I'm going to forget. Can you do vector calculus? Do you know how to multiply matrices? Present 99. Again, very generous, sir. That picture and the person talking are not the same, or was this before you did choose flat Earth? Lol. It is Nico. It is Nico. Maybe it's an old picture. We'll ask him about that when we get back to him, but it definitely is Nico. Jerry Greybosch says, I can't tell if Nico is guided by unfounded beliefs and ignorance or if he's doing a bad improv performance. Sorry, Nico, I've got to read all these out. That's what that said. You can respond to all these when I finish. I don't know what to say. I had to read it out. Harley's Corner. Hello, Harley. For 10, I don't know if that's pounds or euros. My eyes are going. Every discovery in science has a history attached to it. It's just pathetic to see a person claiming doesn't know where this or that formula came from. Ignorance is not a virtue. The Turtle Moves for £2 says, does pi equal 3.14 as math says, or 3 as in the Bible? That is a good question. Maybe one as well, Nico, you want to jot down that what the Bible says about pi isn't accurate, or is it? Maybe you could answer that later. MC Chop, I never knew 90-degree angles were a gateway drug. I remember my maths teacher dealing protractors out to kids. Sickening to think about it now. I've just got that. That is brilliant. Design Song 1, unwilling to indict God. Nico, assisted by science. I hereby indict science. Thank you. IC Spin, Catz the stenographer. That's a big word. I don't know what a stenographer is.
Typist.
A typist. Yeah, not too bad. I make a lot of mistakes, but not so bad. Brian Peck, someone teach Nico how to answer a direct question with reply, please. Well, that is a question to him, and I'm sure he'll reply in the question section. But thank you. That was $5. Jack Fetter for $4.99. Yes, spinning and orbiting the sun and hurtling through the universe while rotating within the Milky Way. Not hard to understand, even a high school graduate. ... Crafty Keeler, £5. Thank you, Crafty. Did Nico look at the sun directly? Because that would explain so much. Sorry, Nico. I've got to read these out. But if I was on your channel, it would be the same. It would be why has Catz got a no head and a face like a potato. I know. I get that at home. That's just from the wife. Oh, no, it's Andy. Catz, do you type with lump hammers on your fingers? Yes, I do. Tommy Gromvold for 50 knock. Words against words are kind of boring. There must be something out there you can show to back you up, right, Nico? I think that was before I'd asked you for your evidence of the flat Earth. But thank you, Tommy. Present 99 again. Thank you so much, sir. Please, Catz, for all the spaghetti that is holy, don't let this guy go on rants. His babbling is like a black hole. His gravity. It seems like he never gets to the end or to the points. Sorry, Nico. I'll read these out. Timo, Jim Broughton says Doom is a poopy pants. I'll read that out twice. Timo Lynch says Jim Broughton says Doom is a poopy pants.
Words fail me. Words fail me. Seriously, guys, how old are you?
The Turtle Moves for £2 says Doom is a poopy pants. Then Timo Lynch for two. I don't know if it's pounds or euros, but says
you should be enjoying this.
I've heard Doom is a poopy pants. Mike Hatch says, so lasers bend around a curve. Surrender Monkey for £10. Thank you, Mike. Surrender Monkey for £10 says, for the pain of talking to an idiot. Well, Nico, we said this beginning, has, in my opinion, is a biblical flat earther. He's got very strong biblical beliefs. And I was here tonight to see, does he have a scientific background, or does the Bible take precedent? And I think he might correct me after this. I think the Bible takes precedent for him over kind of learning the science ins and outs. He might correct me on that after this. Burnham for $4.99. Nico, when standing on the ocean shore is a straight line to the bottom of the... when standing on the ocean shore is a straight line to the bottom of the boat shorter than a line to the top. That is a good question because it's actually a further distance, isn't it, to the bottom of the boat? Hang on. No, sorry, I'm going to think now. Did I get that one? No. It depends how tall the boat is. If the boat is like... Anyway, fuck it. Never mind. Thank you, Burnham. Penguin J. tripped myself up with that one. I should have stopped to visualize what was being said.
Can you just for my amusement, can you describe the proper name for those rays that you were talking about? Can you say that 3 times?
Probably get it wrong. Crepuscular. Fucking no, I can't. Crepuscular. Penguin J for $5 says, wait until Fleurs find out that this is a CIA psyop to see how many people they convince the Earth is flat as a social experiment. Interesting. Some flat earthers might go with that. Basil Problem for $5 says, Nico, where would you start to write a software program that does race tracing? I couldn't answer that. I don't know anything about software programming, but that is not race tracing, sorry, ray tracing. Wow. Thank you, everybody, for that. Yeah. I'm going to pass you back to Doom.
Yeah, I can only echo them. I will, obviously, I've made 2 new enemies now by proxy of Jim Broughton. Seriously, I do know where he lives. But the debate, I think, is going on okay. I think we can move on to the questions now. If you're happy to take questions from chat, Nico, it's completely up to you, my friend. I'm not going to force you. Okay. Where to start? Let me look back up here.
So quickly, I just wanted to add for some of the proofs of Earth being flat is just the physics of a gas containment. Okay. Right? The atmosphere is composed of gas, and we know that gases naturally disperse unless they're contained. So if Earth was spinning a ball in a vacuum, there's no physical barrier preventing the atmosphere from being sucked into space. So on the other hand, in the flat Earth model, the atmosphere is contained by a firmament or dome, which prevents it from escaping. So this aligns with the natural behavior of gases. They need containment.
Would it be possible for the Earth to be a globe and have a globular dome to contain the gas?
But then how do people travel to space? The atmosphere we've said is not there, and it's right next to the vacuum of space. So
that's the best rebuttal I've ever heard from a flat earther to that question. Nico, I'm going to raise my hat to you for that one. That is the best rebuttal I've heard because other flat earthers have got. That is actually really sensible. You've beat me on that question. Yeah. What can I say? I thought I was going to catch you out with that, and you kicked my ass on that question. So well done.
No way.
That is the best rebuttal.
I do have a question from chat that might be linked to that or may not be, from Debunk, who says, how do you explain a change in weight from lower elevation and higher elevation in spite of lower air pressure or even in a vacuum?
It's not for me to explain what gravity is or something.
Well, I'm not quite sure.
When you get to a higher elevation, because you are further away from the center of the Earth, acceleration due to gravity decreases. And so there is a very, very small, but detectable with sensitive enough equipment, drop in the measured weight of an object because you are further away from the center of the Earth and gravity is less. So they're asking, how would you explain that?
Well, gravity itself has never been proven or contained to be seen and studied. It has so many, it's very selective with what it chooses to pull towards the center of Earth. So like balloons and helium can float up and not be pulled down. Birds can fly without resistance to the force of gravity, right? So it's gravity in itself is just definitely made up. It sounds more like something that is alive and not some kind of force, invisible force. It sounds like something that has a mind that picks and chooses, so it can't be real.
But the gravity itself, you could, okay, so let's say gravity doesn't exist. I'm going to jump on your side for a second and say gravity doesn't exist. That's that observable phenomena, though, of things weighing less with altitude would still exist. So how would that be explained in the absence of gravity?
When have we measured that? Who's been able to go up that high and realize that, oh, my weight is becoming decreased because of my altitude?
Critical Think did it, but we can also look back, and I'm not. When I tell you this, it's going to sound like I'm taking the piss, but I'm not taking the piss. It's a genuine story. When they first started making pendulum clocks, like grandfather clocks, they came out of Holland, and when they were moved to different, and they were fantastic. And when they were moved to different parts of the world, they started losing a little bit of time, and when they were shipped back, because they simply weren't keeping time and it became a problem, they were analyzed and they were working perfectly again in Holland. And they then had to realize that actually basically things weighed slightly different due to differences in gravities and elevation, and they had to start changing the length of the pendulum subtly to account for that. These things are measurable, and Critical Think has measured, and Wolfie's
that can be explained due to the temperature. So obviously, as you're climbing in altitude, it's not the gravity; it's the temperature is colder up there. So things, when things are hot, they expand, or when they're cold, they decrease, and so that could explain why the weight is changing, because the temperature is affecting what is up at that high altitude, not gravity being selective and deciding to, have a hard time pulling it back towards the Earth.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you on any of these because these are your questions, and we've got a lot to get through, I'm sure. So I'll pass you back to Doom, but thank you for the answer.
All right, okay. Another one from Crafty Keeler. She says, ask Nico if he knows and understands that we've known that it's a globe since before NASA existed.
So again, it all goes back to government, Freemasons, whether it was the Masons of recent or back then under the different guys, whether it was the Knights Templar or the Jesuits or one of these other entities. They were all funded and had an agenda to push, and the globe first came about like 500 years ago, right? With Copernicus and Galileo and Newton and Pythagoras. They all decided upon this theory. They decided it was moving, and then they spent the next few centuries deciding how far away the sun was, and it started off having different distances. So, and then we have, I believe Aaron mentioned it in your live last week, how Universal Studios decided, way back in the 20s, before NASA was even a thing, before anyone had images of the Earth from outer space, they already had it. A spinning globe ball, blue bauble, for their introduction. And then it wasn't until 1969, which was only 66 years after the Wright brothers took first flight in aviation in 1903. So from 1903, from the first ever flight, in 66 years, we went from barely being able to take off of land to landing on the moon and outer space. Yeah.
I'm just seeing we've got a super chat coming from Dave McKeegan, which is a question. So am I okay just jump in and ask that one, Doom?
Yeah, carry on.
Dave McKeegan, nice seeing the chat. Obviously, top guy, absolute legend. In fact, oh shit, there's two super chats coming. Dave McKeegan says, Nico, why does gravity affect a bird if you shoot it?
Because now the bird is no longer okay. First of all, it's not gravity. It's the bird is stopped using its wings to glide through the air, and if it's getting shot, and then that whole activity is now stopped or stunned, and the wings kind of fall down, then he doesn't have the lift anymore to keep him hovering and flying or floating in the air. Then he's going to fall down because of the mass, the weight of the bird, and the density of the air is heavier, so it's going to fall to the ground. And there's no sight or anything to do with gravity that took part in that bird falling to the ground from being shot.
And there's one more super chat, which is a question for you, Nico, as well, from Basil Problem for $5. Thank you. Oh, sorry,
can I just say this? So when I think it is, I'm going to preempt that and say, Nico, you do not have to answer this question.
Yeah, agreed. I'm going to read it out because it's super chat, but then you can just drop it. It says, what is your primary source of income? It's up to you whether you answer that or not.
Just let God provide. Well, in all honesty, I'm changing careers right now. I actually just finished my diploma for artificial intelligence, computer programming for modern robotics. And as we know, Donald Trump just announced 500 billion in AI infrastructure to be pushed for this new world order, what's going on. So yeah, I think I jumped on this at the good time. So I'll be graduating next month and be looking for work in that field and keeping a close eye on AI.
Nice, mate. AI, that's the future. Good luck in that. That's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There's a big super chat coming, Doom. I don't know if you want me to be jumping on these if I see them come in or not. I don't want to be treading on your toes.
I do, because for some reason now even YouTube's deserted me.
Okay, so Timothy Millen, it says message retracted. So if you did leave a message or a question, I can't see it because it says message retracted. But if you just tag us in a post, we'll answer it for $50. So thank you so much for that, Timothy. MC Chop for two. I need glasses, dollars or pounds. I don't know. It's two something, but thank you. Says, is Nico denying the existence of the Saturn V?
What is the Saturn V? And Saturn is obviously Saturnalia, which is satanic. So the first of all, yeah, it just sounds like something.
It's a rocket, essentially.
Oh, so yeah, I looked at some of the rockets, excuse me, that just took off and returned to Earth, and the footage is all CGI. So I don't know if you've seen some of the SpaceX rockets that launched into space and then returned to Earth and to the exact point where it took off, which is absolutely insane on a moving globe spinning through space. And then we have what was supposed to be a meteor seen in space, was announced by the news, and then they realized it wasn't a meteor, it was a Tesla Roadster that Elon launched up a few years ago. They're clowning you. I'm telling you that this is all a clown show for them.
A follow-up from before, Debunk was the person who asked about weight changing with altitude, and you mentioned temperature changes. He comes back. He's come back in the comment and said this has been done. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially, it's been done with controlling temperature to make it the same, and we still get the same results. Would you have a reply to that?
How are you going to control? So wait. So now when they send something up, they have something to control the temperature so that the high altitude cold temperatures don't affect the. So that's never been mentioned before. So now that's interesting that was now brought up only because I mentioned the temperature would change the shape and weight of said object going up that high, and try to prove that it's not gravity doing it, it's the temperature. So yeah, I've never heard of this temperature regulation in these experiments, but that's interesting to hear about it now.
And another super chat, and then we'll go back to Doom for questions from the chat from Mark W. Says it's from Mark W for two something. Again, I need to get my eyes tested. Nico, what makes faces drop in centrifuge? You know, like when your faces droop. Sorry, you know when you're spinning the astronauts.
Yeah, centrifugal force. Yeah. So I did have something to mention about that in regards to, you know, the Earth spinning and centrifugal force and inertia and stuff like that, because people like to explain why helicopters are supposed to, when hovering, why they don't end up in a different place as opposed to the Earth spinning, but still. So yeah, and again, with a helicopter being hovering there, inertia would not have an effect because it's there holding. It should be in a different place when it lands, but it's not. So again, that whole centrifugal, I am not trying to understand where he's coming from, what it's doing to the face. It's just, if you're being spun, then yeah, it's going to affect your stomach would turn, you probably throw up too.
Cool. Doom, I don't want to be treading on your toes here. Can you still not see super chats because another one's coming? I don't want to be...
No, I can't see him.
Okay. So I've got another one from Timothy Millen, and thank you. And sorry, when I said send another, I meant another message, not another super chat. I hope you don't think I was asking you to super chat. I feel awful now, but thank you for the super chat. Timothy Millen says, "Thanks, Catz and Doom and Nico. Bit of credit for you there, Nico too. I love the respectful nature of the stream. Been watching for a while. A sunset explanation is all he really needs. Really enjoyed this. Well, lovely. Thank you. Back to you, Doom.
You've got another one from Keela. She's been quite busy tonight. Can Nico explain what the agenda is and why would it benefit anyone to lie about the Earth's shape?
Perfect. That's honestly the number one question I'm able to answer without notes. They're hiding God. So this is how I'm able to explain all Bible prophecies have taken place, even as big as the Great Flood, and they've been able to hide and cover up and sweep it under the rug and give different stories of historical accounts. The dome being found by Ernest Shackleton back in, say, 1904 to 1907, or Admiral Richard Evelyn Byrd back in the 1940s, went to the North Pole and the South Pole. And it was after his expedition that when he came back to Europe or America that they decided to ban the whole world from going to Antarctica unless by special permission. And that's because there's a dome firmament there. And if people were allowed to travel there and take ski-doos and travel far south and then eventually hit this barrier and see that it covers the whole wall of the sky and goes up all around, then that would restore faith back in God to humanity, in which, of course, the people in control of this world don't want that.
We've had another couple of super chats, Doom, while that's come in. I'll just crack these out and then back to you for questions. Also, Doom, I've gone into StreamYard and I've edited the after show to start at 11:15. So when these questions are done, we can have like 10-minute break and then come back for the after show.
Yeah.
Basil Problem again says, Nico, glad to hear you're getting your degree in AI and computer science soon. What, as we all are, I think that's amazing. I think that's the future. You know, I'd love my kids to get into AI and stuff. What is your preferred programming language and why? And what is your preferred machine learning library? I have no idea what those questions mean. So,
I've learned all the languages from C++ to Python language, which is pretty much the main one. I know it used to be like Java and all these kind of languages, but thankfully, times have changed and it's a lot easier now to do coding and to code. So basically, I learned how to code humanoid robots with human emotions and to do tasks like laundry, do dishes. I'm able to program driverless cars to do taxi service or Uber service without an actual driver, to go around town and do routes, and it's some unbelievable stuff. And your other question, so yeah, you asked me about the language. Machine learning. So we use the thing called We Robots, where we create these worlds, and it's basically all on the same type of lines as Unreal Engine. So I learned quite a lot in such a short time. So I'm just here taking it easy, waiting for graduation and getting back into the job field.
Well, good luck with that, mate. Another super chat from Mark W. Building on the question he asked before for something. God, my eyes. Nico, so centrifuge phase troop is gravity then, Tar? It's not a question. I think that he's just replying to what you said before. Sorry, Doom. I'll only interrupt Doom if a super chat comes in, but otherwise just pull.
Yeah, there is one that you asked me to remember, the Aleister Crowley one. I can't see that anymore.
Yeah, okay. Aleister Crowley, he obviously died before the founding established date of NASA, but it was his work and the people that he was with, that like Jack Parsons, a rocket scientist, they were actually like lovers, and they were doing sodomy rituals for magical purposes. And through these rituals and their rocket work, they were able to summon an entity, a demon named Awas, which gave them superior knowledge on certain things. And it's those teachings in Aleister Crowley's books on yoga and summoning demons is what was used for the foundations of NASA being built to carry out those experiments that he did on a bigger scale with a bigger budget.
Another couple of super chats come in. DJ Ronnie G says his brother actually saw a Falcon 9 launch in person. Is that CGI?
So some of those real launches are just rockets being propelled up and then they curve into the ocean. That's all that is. That's all they can do is make a rocket go up and into the ocean. That's all that you're seeing.
Hoyner for two things says, I hope I can play AI on the PS5 when you finish it. And Turtle Moves. And yeah, that'd be awesome to have PS5 AI. The Turtle Moves for £2. So should have gone, gone Specsavers. I really bloody should. I can't believe I can't make out the difference between the dollars, the euros, and the pound sign. It's been a bit of a way. I'm having an internal battle. I thought I was young, but I'm actually getting quite panicked. Now, I can't see this.
And now, guys, now you know why he had a sore hand.
It was a snap tendon. It was.
Yeah. Tell us anything.
Doom, what do you think? It is 11. We've got an after show. I'm sure we'll get plenty of questions in that. Do you want a break before the after show?
I've got one more question. It's quite a in your face question, Nico. But I'll ask you it anyway. Feel free to skip it if you wish. It's from Dick Wayne, who basically puts, "Why do you lie so much? Why are you scared of my simple inquiries?" I'm not sure about what that means. What science do you tell children? Thanks.
Oh, Dick Wayne's a flat earther. He'll be asking me that.
Well then, Nico, don't answer that, Nico. You answer that, Catz.
Dick Wayne won't engage in conversation. He spams the comment section over and over and over and over and over and over again. He's had his chance for conversation. Dick Wayne, piss off is my answer to that. But there is a super chat from Tim Davidson. Nico, anything other than claims like evidence? I don't know if that's a rhetorical question, but maybe do you feel that you provided evidence tonight, Nico? Or?
I feel that when it comes to these debates regarding the Earth being flat or the Earth being what NASA says, and the fact that we still can't come to a solid conclusion, even though the globe Earth have trillions and trillions of dollars in scientific research to back them up, how is it still an argument? And how is it no one can really settle on what it is? Because those trillions of dollars and all that experiment and science that shows the globe Earth is all full of holes. It's not really valid evidence of anything. It's just data and research and mumbo jumbo spat out by funded researchers and scientists. So it's as simple as that.
Another couple of super chats. Sorry, dude. I feel like I know you should be reading the questions out. Are you sure you still can't see them? Because I feel like I'm.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. YouTube have absolutely stabbed me back tonight. I'll fix it for next week.
You've done such a good job with the production, though. It looks absolutely amazing. Like it's, I know you're using all your screens and stuff. I just don't want it to look like I'm not. Like I know we'll get comments and be like, "Catz, why aren't you letting Doom speak?" Like Doom should be reading the questions.
Well, I'm a poopy pants, me. I can't speak.
So there's a few super chats, Nico, and I think they're all directed to you. Can't read the name. Oh bloody hell! I can't see that now. Where is it gone? Can't read the other day in a normal voice anymore. That's the name of the user. I've not gone nuts, Nico. That is the name of the user. Yeah. He says, "Hey, Nico, could you please get at least one argument we're not hearing for years from other flatties?" And I will agree. And I know you've not been on YouTube for a while. You're not familiar with you don't know me. You're not familiar with Sensible, etc. We have heard a lot of those arguments over the last few years, but you can't help that. You've not been on YouTube for that long. Mark W, for £2 says, for 500 English pounds, hello everyone. Well, Mark, for £500, hello you. Timothy Millen, again, sir, for $20, thank you so much. Nico, to you, how would you prove the dome?
Well, first of all, it's just you need discernment. You need to understand. Like I've been into this science my whole life. Obviously, it just comes naturally to me. I was always naturally into physics and biology and everything. So, be it space and all this stuff was naturally very interesting to me. So I knew a lot about it, and it just as you get older and realize it's not what they say it is. Sorry, I forgot the question again, so I'm not sure if I answered it.
No, that's good. I can't remember what question I asked. Was it how do you prove the dome? That's what I asked, isn't it?
Maybe, I guess it's just like I said before with the expedition to Antarctica,
yes,
and how certain Masons found the dome, so only Masons and government officials can go there. That's why they have the treaty, because they're hiding something there. That's why the Antarctica is guarded by worldwide military from every nation that is signed in the treaty. So if we could go there and get past security and the military, I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact that there's going to be a solid dome wall that covers this whole Earth.
That's from Timothy Miller. I've done that. Art Pereira for $39.99 Tsar. I don't know what a Tsar is. Doom, what is a Tsar?
Is it
Well, it used to be an old Russian royalty, didn't it?
It did. Do you know? But like currency, Nico, do you know what a Tsar is? Like,
I think it's the Serbian currency.
Serbian. See, I'm asking you stuff now. When it comes to IT and stuff, I'll be hitting you up for. YouTube has flashed something, said this is your 20th super chat on obviously this stream, but on live streams. So well done for supporting creators' art. He's asking you a question, Nico. Why don't you ever present your sources?
Like you guys just said, all these arguments, they're old. It's the same old stuff. I spent like a week trying to go over this stuff and get all the science, and it's not my fault that it's the same stuff that is being used by both sides. So I was like, oh, okay, I got to go through this, right? I purposely didn't want to go the biblical route because that's honestly the way I want to go. But I said, let me give this science a go. And this is it. It's the same science. I go through it, and it just makes me more of a flat earth believer every time I see it. And quickly, ZAR is the South African currency.
Okay, thank you. I had no idea, but well answer for that. More super chats. Mike Hatch, the third super chat on the stream. Thank you so much for it's pounds, definitely. It's not a question, but it just says, because flat earthers go, nah. Jiffy Cones. Again, it's not a question, but for $2 says, it's not a debate. Earth is a globe. End of. Professor Parks has become a member, so welcome, Professor Parks. There is a Discord server that Doom will be.
It's actually pinned or posted. It should be in the description under this stream, actually.
How to access the thing?
Well, yeah, to be quite honest, now it's automated. So if you remember, you'll get access to the members channel. If not, you don't have to link your YouTube channel to us at this moment in time. So it's just a case of getting the address and jumping in.
Okay, that's a lot simpler than the other one I set up. I need to pick your brain on how to do that. Alisim for 5 A. It's A followed by a $sign. So anyway, it's 5 of those. So thank you, Nico. Attempting to use big words doesn't make you sound more photosynthesis. Seriously, though, it was a joke.
What?
That was.
How many beers have you had?
No, that's what it says. That's what it says.
That's the wrong word for that sentence.
Seriously, though, attempt to make one logical argument. It was a joke. It was because that sentence. It was a big word that didn't make sense. It caught me off guard. Seriously, though, attempt to make one logical argument. Now, that's not a question, but we'll move on. Thank you, Elysim. Madeline May says, now, yes, you know what, Nico? I wanted to ask you this before. And Madeline, for $2,
I think you just give up. Just give up on the currencies. Seriously.
It's for 2 numbers, for 2 units of currency. Serious question, though. Would you now go to the Antarctic if it was funded? You know, so you could see for yourself.
Of course I would, but I wouldn't be selected to go because I'm trouble. I don't follow rules, and you get me there, I'm going to where I know I need to get to, and I'm making sure I get evidence of what I know is there and what they're hiding. So I definitely would take up any organization on the opportunity to go, and I will not mess it up, and I'll make sure I'm. But again, why would they allow me to go knowing that I'm going to prove what they're hiding? So I can't see that happening.
More super chats are coming in. Sorry, Doom. I know you're looking at questions in the chat, but I'll give these priority. BPA for €5. That's definitely euro sign. It says, say Nico. I don't understand this question. I have no idea what this means. I hope I'm pronouncing these words right. Say Nico, what is the difference between an applicative functor and a monad? I haven't got a clue what that means.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is either.
I guess it's some kind of programming term.
It's a programming term, yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, Doom. Highlighters in what is the difference? What are they?
I can't tell you that.
Okay.
It's a secret. You called me a poopy pants literally 5 times on stream, so you can you can go and swing it.
Well, I have no idea what those 2 things are either. Whether it's a high level programming, low level, I have no idea. Timothy Millen again. Honestly, sir, thank you so much for $20. But there's no message attached. Now,
just say his name. Just say his name.
Timothy Millen. Timothy Millen. Thank you so much. It's Timothy Millen.
Thank you, Timothy.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, another one's just bobbed in. Jeez, I'm trying to pass this back to Doom. Elysim, I think that's how it's done. I don't know if it's been asked, but why is there no functional flat Earth map? That's a good question. What do you think to that, Nico?
So that's the thing. So a lot of us refer to the AE map, the Gleason one that says scientifically, practically proven as it is. But there's that word, scientifically. So obviously they needed a map that they could use that is more, usable, but they had to make it imperfect because they can't have everything perfect to be a big giveaway. So this is why, first of all, I woke up to Flat Earth not knowing that these maps even existed. So they don't prove anything, right? Flat Earth is Flat Earth without that map, but it is the best representation, but it's purposely full of mistakes, like people like the distances and the flight paths is purposely made imperfect so it could be refuted later on.
We have more super chats. This one from Jiffy Cones. Now, Nico, I'm going to answer this one for you and then pass to you. It's a question to you, but I know the answer. Guess what the question is? I'm on your side on this.
So why did I copy Eric Dubé's video? Is that what it is?
That's the one. I'm going to answer for you, and you can tell me how wrong I am or how right I am, but I know I'm the same.
Okay.
I watched a stream. So Jiffy Cones, yeah. Why did you plagiarize Eric Dubé? I watched a stream of Nico before I got in touch with him. And on the stream, he basically said why he thought the final experiment was fake. And then a couple of days later, Eric Dubé made his video and he literally took the same screenshots, every single argument that Nico had presented in his live stream, every single one, including literally the same screenshot snaps. And he put it together in his own video and didn't credit Nico for coming up with them. So in my opinion, Nico did a very hilarious bit of trolling back by stealing his video. Nico, how close am I?
That's perfect. And I have a sense of humor too, right? And the thing is, it wasn't just all of my work and ideas that went into debunking TFE. It was the whole community that came together. So it was a collective. It was other people's work, and they were relying on me to get it out there and share it. And for Eric Dubé to come along and just rip it all off and go post it and take full credit, you know, I wasn't going to sit back and allow that to happen to myself and the crusaders of the resistance that we have here. So obviously I'm here to speak up for not just myself, but for everyone else involved that looked to me as a voice. So I had to step in. I gave him the chance to speak up and join us and come say something, but no, he doesn't care. So I felt that was very insulting, very disrespectful. So if he wants to show disrespect, I can be disrespectful back too, right? And that's exactly why I did what I did with that video.
Nico, we've disagreed a lot tonight, but one thing we can agree on is Eric Dubé is a prick.
Of course,
Wow.
yeah.
More super chats. I'm sorry, dude.
It's all right. It's all right.
Boba Sweet, or Boba Sweat, Sweet, says, hey, Grandpa Catz, hold the controller mouse wheel to increase text size. Well, I saw that before I did it out, and I give it a go, and I can tell you that you are correct, and that works. So thank you for that. I can now see the units. That was for $5. Alex G for €5. To you, Nico, with your IT experience and stuff, will you make an alternative chat GTP that defends the flat earth?
You don't necessarily need to. When using the current GPT that's available to everyone, yeah, when you ask it stuff, you can tell right away that all of these AI and GPTs, they're biased towards modern science. So you talk to it about flat earth, it's going to tell you flat earth is not real, it's archaic, caveman mentality, and there's enough. It will just show you NASA's website, all that stuff, right? So yeah, you can create your own GPTs, and that's a good idea. I should create one just for flat earth that has the GPT, the AI pro flat earth and not pro globe like the one that we have now.
Okay. I'm just going to put one more question out, and I think then we should adjourn unless people start super chatting again. It's from a person called Bluebo in China, and they say, question for Nico that everybody should ask. Nico, why are you lying to ever know about this? To know about the space or be interested in it if you don't even know what Saturn V was? It's just please super chat it, but I think
yeah. So no one's lying. I used to want to be a captain of a Starship Enterprise. I'm like, one day I want to be a captain and travel space. But my whole heart was in it just to find God. I was like, I believe in God. I need to know where he is. And the whole thought of this endless space makes you question our existence. It's like, why did God create us and then leave and go elsewhere in the universe? So that was part of the thought. And if I was thinking that, there's a whole world of people that think that and probably think worse. They're like, oh, God created us and left us and abandoned us. He doesn't care. So then they choose someone else to worship, but not knowing that that whole space thing is fake. So there's nothing to lie about. I know about these rockets and Apollo, but I stopped following this crap a long time ago. And every now and then I see the SpaceX sending up Tesla Roadsters. I see them sending up rockets, and the rockets come back from space and land exactly where they took off from, which I'm calling BS.
We've had a sudden dump of super chats, but YouTube seems to have taken a shit here.
yeah.
Some of the super chats that have just been dumped in here have got timestamps on for like 10 minutes ago. So we've got one from So sorry, Penguin J. This was not being ignored. It's just jumped into my thing. But Doom, you're going to like this one. I just wanted to jump on the Doom is a poop head bandwagon, followed by a load of penguins. We have, so thank you. So that's not a question, but thank you. Can't read the other day in a normal voice anymore. Question, Nico. Oh, in fact, the one underneath is also from him saying, you missed my last super chat. I need Nico to answer. They've all been dumped together. There's been something wrong there. So sorry. Sorry that's happened. But this was the question. Okay, so yeah. So the next one is also from the same person, but thank you. Can't read the other day, normal voice anymore. Says, Nico, how is it that people standing at the southern tip of South America, Africa, and Australia, and facing south can see the same stars because they would all be looking in different directions on a flat Earth? I can bring up. Let me just get my PowerPoint to explain what he means with that, because I didn't read that very well. But what he's basically saying is this. Am I screen sharing the Doom?
Yeah, you've been screen sharing the whole time.
Oh, have I? Oh, God. Right.
We know all your secrets
Pornhub up.
and your electric bill and everything.
So what he's saying is people in the South Pole looking that way and people in the South Pole looking this way, or people in Antarctica, if it's a rim, are seeing the same stars. How is that possible?
Well, we've been seeing the same stars since the beginning of time. The stars have been the exact same stars always. When it comes to looking up at the sky and seeing Orion's belt or the Big Dipper, those stars have been there for millennia and they'll be here constantly until the end. I don't know or heard anyone that says that, oh, if I'm looking south from that one arrow, which stars? So they're saying they can see Orion's belt looking south from the Australia side, and then the people on the South America side are looking south, then they shouldn't be able to see Orion's belt.
I'll be honest, it's been a long time since I've looked at the constellations. I'm not sure if Orion's belt is a constellation visible from the south. It might be. The chat will pick me up on that. I don't know. But let's just assume we're talking about Orion's belt. So if I've got 3 stars over here, what he's saying is, and they're in that direction, why would I also see the same 3 stars looking in that direction? It might not be Orion's belt. It might be whatever it is.
I'm saying that you wouldn't, because that's impossible unless it's 2 separate star constellations. But what they're trying to get at is that if this was on a ball and they were looking south, then yeah, they'd see the same thing. But we don't know that that in the south that we can see it facing 2 different directions. So that's interesting.
Can I ask you a question then? I know you said you can't, and that's fine. But if you did, for example, go to Australia, and you saw, a certain constellation in the sky, and then what's that? South America. Is that Doom? What am I pointing at there? Got these. Yeah, I think it's South America. But,
so basically,
if you went there and saw those, what would you change your mind?
Well, you would be able to see them at different times in the same places because the stars are constantly moving around the Earth. So eventually, yes, in South America facing south, you would see Orion's belt, but not at the exact same time as someone in Australia looking also south. They wouldn't be able to see it, but at a different time, they would eventually make its round to that side, and everyone would see it, but not at the exact same time.
So let's say you were in Australia and I was in South America, and we got on a WhatsApp call, a video call, so we know it's real time, and then I pointed my camera to the stars, and you pointed your camera to the stars. Just hypothetically, I'm not saying you have to believe you would see the same ones, but hypothetically, let's say we did see the same ones. Would that be enough to change your mind?
No, because then there would be obviously an explanation for that. It depends on how high up. So obviously they're not direct south. They're going to be, so if you're looking south, you're going to be looking south, and then you're going to be looking up, right? So the stars are going to be up there. So if you're in South America and you're looking up, you could potentially see, but from a different angle of it. So if you're going to see it angled up, it might be angled down due to the way you're, from the perspective you're looking at it from a different direction.
Okay. Some more super chat. Sorry, Doom. I know. So we've done that one. Mark W. I'm not sure whether he's talking to me or you here, Nico. So I guess we'll find out. All your videos prove you only have one shirt. Lemayo. Could be talking to you. Could be talking. Do you wear the same video in your shirts?
No,
do you wear the same shirts in your videos?
No, this is the first time I'm wearing this shirt in a long time. I just have a lot of camo patterned clothing, so that's it. It's part of my branding too. Like, if anyone wants to buy a Crusaders of the Resistance shirt, you can have your own camo too, just like me.
My order's in the post. And another one from Can't Read the other day in normal voice anymore. Thank you so much, sir. Then I wasted my money. Oh no, here, have more. Well, I mean, thank you for 2 CHF. I've no idea what CHF is, but it is 2 of them.
It's the Catz Hardship Fund.
Yeah, for a pair of glasses. Jiffy Cones. This is in reply to the Eric Dubay Jiffy. He or she was the person who asked the Eric Dubay question. So it's tit for tat. Fair play. Does it bother you that people like Eric Dubay share your flat Earth beliefs? And I don't just mean him stealing your content. So people with his character sharing your beliefs, does that bother you?
I actually liked Eric Dubay. I think he's very smart and intelligent. I liked the way he presented his 200 proofs of flat Earth way back in the day. So he was definitely one of my top guys to refer to when looking for new content up until he started to blaspheme Jesus Christ. So that's when I knew that we were separate and different. He's pro New Age and does yoga and meditation, and that is it's not Christian-like.
Tommy Granvold, who is well worth a subscription. I mean, he's been in the community a very long time. I'm sure everyone knows about him. But if you don't, he's well worth a subscription. And I'd love, actually, for Tommy to come on here and debate somebody. I think he'd do an excellent job. He's not like me. He's not a fool like me who's sarcastic and pisses about. He actually puts educational quality content out there. He says, Catz, do you have a black belt in PowerPoint? Well, I don't like to brag, my friend. But I did teach for 20 years. Yeah. I am quite the expert. Can you not tell?
It's a teacher's modern day blackboard.
It is. You know what? When everyone was spending like thousands of pounds to get interactive whiteboards in schools, I was like, I don't need an interactive whiteboard. I just need a wireless mouse and PowerPoint. And that's how I did my stuff. I used to draw balls as pointers and all. It was great. Anyway, oh my God, right, another one. Arnold, hello, sir. Hello. Says less than half of you have hit the thumbs up. Well, man, if less than half of you have hit the thumbs up, that means almost half, which is very, very grateful. Thank you. I'm just stoked. I don't know about you, Doom. I'm blown away with the number of viewers that have been here tonight. And Nico, I've got to credit you for the way you've conducted yourself to help us make that happen. Don't know what you think, Doom, but I'm blown away.
Yeah, I concur. It's been an enjoyable debate. We're going to have to draw a line under it, otherwise we'll never get to the next one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to thank Nico for coming. Thank him for being civil and calm and talking to us like we like to talk to people. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
I am editing the after show, which is going to occur on this channel and the Culture Catz channel. And it's only occurring on both because, to be honest, we're trying to bring people over from the Culture Catz channel to this channel to recognize it exists. So if you are watching, watch it here. Don't go over to the Culture Catz channel. You know, if you are going to stay here and watch it. That's going to start in 15 minutes. But yeah, Nico, I'm going to just echo what Doom said. Like, you've been an absolute gentleman tonight. I don't know how you feel you've been treated, but you've been an absolute legend.
Wow. So that's honestly, that's great to hear. I had no idea what I would be getting myself into, but all I've known from the past debates is just being calm and respectful is the best way to go about these things. And you guys have been very accommodating and respectful of me and making sure I get heard too. And it's been honestly awesome and great, and definitely looking forward to doing it again, doing more.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well, we'd love to have you back up. The plan is that I'm not going to be doing many debates. Me and Doom will moderate it together and we'll get other people on. And like I said to you before, I've got contacts in the community that have got far bigger channels than mine, etc. And maybe, we can get you on against a bigger name at some point. But, mate, love to have you back. You've been outstanding. So just, thanks for making this a a pleasant night.
Yeah.
No, it's been great, and thanks for the opportunity. Big names are welcomed. I'm not afraid of anyone. I already had a great debate with FTFE and McKeegan and MC Toon. A couple of others, Sean Hawkins also. I know Max wants to debate me on the Bible, so I'm going to put in some work and make sure I can put him to sleep on that one. So I'm looking forward to that.
We've had one more super chat. One more super chat from Jiffy Cones, who says, wait, just one more. Say the line, Catz. Now, I'm going to say the line. Nico, when I say this, you're going to look at me and think, what the fuck are you saying? This is going to confuse the hell out of you. But believe me, there's context. And this is what Jiffy wants to hear. And the line I believe Jiffy wants to hear is this. Space, comma. I believe that's what Jiffy wants to hear. I might be wrong. You don't know what that's about. You're going to think I'm an idiot, but that's what it is. Bridge the Divide is in the chat, who's an absolute legend. Weird that we're still having this conversation. I was so out of this until the final experiment. It was gone. And then it just made me interested, and it's really causing a stir. And I'm not going to stay in Flat Earth for long. Just while the final experiment stuff dies down, then I'll be back out of it. But good to see you here again. Sorry, Doom.
Yeah, well, I think we need to wrap this up now, and so we can get on to the next one. So once again, thanks everybody. Thanks everybody in chat. Mostly everything's been light-hearted and good-natured, which is what we like to say. Thanks to everybody who super chatted, and we'll see you in the next one. So it's goodbye from me, and
it's also goodbye from him.
See you later, guys. In the next one, 15 minutes.
See you guys later.